being secure on television in front of Congress, when anybody that lives on the border, anybody that's been in the Border Patrol for 5 minutes knows that's just not the case. They're overwhelmed down there. And the cartels are setting the agenda, not the government, not the line agents. This reckless policy emanating from the White House has caused complete chaos down there.
Can you put that 230,000 encounters number into some sort of context for us? Because I'm not sure that, most people have a handle on exactly what that means in terms of how overwhelming that is.
Yeah, so you think about a place like Yuma, Arizona. There's probably nearly 1,000 agents assigned in Yuma. And when the border is seeing 230,000 apprehensions a month, that means in a place like Yuma, that's several hundred people in 24 hours that are taken into custody by the Border Patrol, which means that they're probably not able to send people to the line to protect and patrol the border because the system is overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed by getting these people into custody, putting them in the system, making sure that they're humanely cared for during the time that they're going to stay in CBP custody. And so the Border Patrol has to deal with this wave of humanity instead of patrolling the border and seizing drugs and saving people from human trafficking. We had over 800 people died on the southwest border attempting to enter just last year. That number has never been that high in the history of us collecting that data. This is the worst year on record for deaths at the border. And what people who live in those communities know is those are only the bodies that have been found by authorities. That doesn't account for the, maybe hundreds more who are out in the desert somewhere. It won't be found for years.
It seems to have faded from the headlines somewhat recently, especially now that the midterm voting is over. But buses are still rolling from Texas to other states, especially New York City, busloads of migrants. Do you think that's been an effective policy by Texas and some cities down there near the border?
It matters on what they're trying to accomplish, right? What they've succeeded in doing out of Texas is relieving the border communities that are completely overwhelmed by these populations and sending them to some place where they intended to go in the first place, right? So they've been released by our government into the local community, and the state has taken it upon themselves to take them from the border. And since they're taking them, they've decided to take them to New York. And the twofer here is they're also getting attention to a problem that's being ignored by most of the politicians, certainly the ones that are in power now, including the White House. They said that we didn't have a crisis on the border. They ignored it. Now they're saying it's just fine. The border's secure. The sovereignty of the United States is still intact. It's nonsense. They've created a policy regime that is encouraging people from all over the world to come to the border and to come now because many of them won't even be encountered by CBP. They will not be arrested. They will not be encountered by law enforcement. And many of those who are taken into custody are going to be released.
Is it also maybe the labor shortage in the U.S. that's driving this surge? Because it's no secret. We've got, 11 million or so open jobs.
The economy always is a factor as it relates to the pull from these places. But this surge and the magnitude of it is more than just the economy. And it's really sad, everybody wants a better life. Many of us have an immigrant story in our background. Our parents or our grandparents, or maybe even further back, people came from all over the world to make a life here. And some of the people that are in the pipeline now have that sentiment. But along the way, they get abused. They get hurt in dramatic ways. People die. We saw what happened in San Antonio with that tractor trailer rig. It's a dangerous journey. Many of the people who come here, many people in the pipeline will be picked off by human traffickers and smugglers. They'll be forced to do things that they never intended to do. And some of them are going to come to the United States, fleeing violence in their own hometowns, and be picked off by the very gangs that they were trying to leave home to get away from. This is an endless supply of recruits for the cartels and for the organized crime gangs that are unfortunately in some of our urban centers.
I wanted to ask you about the vetting process because Republicans are, raising concern about the criminal records of some illegal immigrants and whether proper vetting is happening. How does that process work and how different is it from the previous administration?
Well, I think the vetting for this population is, there's been some times during this surge where, people were released at the border without a notice to appear in immigration court. They were given a notice to report at the nearest ICE office once they got into wherever destination that they were going to. But generally, in most cases, when people are taken into custody by the Border Patrol, they're vetted against U.S. holdings. What that means is their biographic and biometric information is checked against databases in the United States. So if they are wanted, if they have a criminal record or have a previous immigration record, it will show up in the context of that arrest. And in some cases, they'll be adjudicated. If they're wanted, they'll be turned over to the local authorities that want them. And with the number last year of over 600,000 people of what the agency calls known gotaways, you have to believe that some of those people evaded arrest, not just because of the volume and the chaos at the border, but because they didn't want to be found by law enforcement.
Secretary Mayorkas is denying reports that he might step down soon. How much would that actually help or change anything, though? Because any replacement would still be implementing the same policies under the current administration, right?
It's a very good point. The policy is what's driving this chaos. Obviously, the secretary has a responsibility to execute on behalf, and he serves at the pleasure of the president. And so if they change the secretary and don't change the policy, then we're not going to see a lot of difference at the border.
Some Republicans also argue the ousted head of Customs and Border Protection is being used as a scapegoat. How much discretion does CPB have in the way that it operates?
Chris Magnus, the former commissioner who just resigned, had the ability to fix what was going on at the border and didn't. That's a dereliction of his duty. But what I suspect is happening is that this policy is being driven by the White House, and them making him a scapegoat for that. I don't know. I'm a little dubious about it, right? He's a former law enforcement officer. I think he was hired for reasons that are very unclear, but one of the points in his resume that attracted him to the White House was, he made some statements about the previous immigration policies of the previous president, and he wrote some op-eds, and he was on the record saying he didn't want local law enforcement authorities cooperating with ICE at the detriment of the city he served in Tucson. And so I think that's why he was there. He was a law enforcement officer. He knows what happens in the context of law enforcement. If you don't enforce laws, or if there's no effective enforcement at the border, what will happen? Well, you just get more law breaking. And so I think that might be part of the calculus of why he's not going to be around anymore, why they asked for his resignation and he left.
In a Washington where Republicans control the House, but not the Senate or the White House, what could possibly change beginning in January? Be it more resources or policies getting tweaked, or maybe nothing?
Well, we all know how a bill becomes a law from the Schoolhouse Rock song, right? So you have to have both houses of Congress and a president willing to sign a bill that's put up that would effectively change policy or change the way the enforcement works at the border. The margins are not thick enough to override a veto. So if this president is dedicated to an open border, I'm not sure the House can change it using their legislative power, but they do have the power of appropriations, right? That so-called power of the purse. And then they have an oversight responsibility. And so a hearing in the oversight and reform or in the judiciary with the Republicans in control of the questioning, that matters, right? The agencies are going to have to respond to that.
One other thing I wanted to ask you, because the White House has said consistently that they want to address the root causes of this migration. There were new numbers released this week showing the biggest migration of Cubans since 1980, replacing Venezuelans, at least for now, as the second largest group coming over the southern border. Does that surprise you? Is this something that regularly changes during any administration?
Well, all of the numbers ebb and flow, and we've seen the changes here. It was largely the Northern Triangle. We saw the large influx of Haitians in the Del Rio last September. Then people from Venezuela took the lead as far as the demographics, and now it's Cuba. So I'm not surprised, because that's a very fluid number, and there's lots of factors that play in. But the root cause here for the magnitude of the migration that we're seeing is the change in policy. Previously, those people would have been sent back or allowed to wait in Mexico for their hearing under the MPP. Before that, they would have been detained, back, several years ago when the courts allowed for that. And so, it's important for us to have relationships in the hemisphere and in some of these sending countries, if it's possible, to have agreements for repatriation and for helping governance and foreign aid and those kinds of things. But that's not going to stop this flow. What's going to stop this flow is holding people to account for breaking the law. And this administration seems unwilling to do that.
Former acting ICE Director Ron Vitello, thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
This is NewstalkSTL at 1019, 94.1 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 844-94-BIBLE. That's 844-94-BIBLE. 844-94-BIBLE.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
SimpliSafe was named the best home security of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report. But we don't do what we do for the accolades. We do it to protect you and everything you love. Our advanced sensors and HD cameras are powered by 24/7 professional monitoring for faster police response. Visit simplisafe.com/holiday to get 40% off any new system today. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Yeah, we're replacing the carpets too, so don't worry about that.
No fresh powder yet, but Dan's Ski Lodge has an avalanche of projects.
Those 4 rooms are getting hot tubs.
He needs a staff engineer to navigate a flurry of new requests.
And all of those will be fully ADA accessible.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Columbo and Katie.
We got a packed can't-miss show on Wednesday. We'll talk to the Insider's Insider, Rodney Boyd, at 2:20, Virginia Cruda from the Daily Wire at 2:40, and open up Closest Cabinet at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on NewstalkSTL.
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Columbo and Katie.
Their job at this incredibly upscale fancy restaurant in London is to go around to the tables and hand feed grapes to the customers.
I don't even want to be disturbed by a waiter that's filling up my glass every 5 seconds or asking me how I'm doing every 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. I couldn't imagine someone coming over to me and being like, "And a grape for you, my dear."
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on NewstalkSTL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. They can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align. Because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit makeawish@wish.org.
Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis.
Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Oh, people, this is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Everything's ready to go in the app. Just say,
Alexa, play news from Fox.
In Fox News.
it's the latest when you need it, on demand from Fox News and Amazon Alexa.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, November 16th. I'm Ted Lindner with the Fox News Rundown. We're now just 720 days away from Election Night 2024. And former President Trump making it official on Tuesday night, announcing he's running for president once again.
Former President Trump will look to return to the White House.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
The former president making the announcement from Mar-a-Lago in South Florida on Tuesday night. That was Fox's Matt Napolitano. I'm Ted Lindner on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com. The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
Rising crime.
Defund the police. It's insane.
News, analysis, opinion.
They can't handle 40-year high inflation.
The odds of a recession continue to grow.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you're on Medicare, listen to this message.
Open enrollment for all Medicare participants is now open until December 7th.
Hi, this is Mike Butts with MB Health Insurance Agency. And regardless if you are new or renewing your health insurance, the process can be confusing and very time-consuming. MB Health is local here in St. Louis, and we will handle your enrollment quickly, properly, and effectively.
Call Mike Butts and his expert team at 314-544-5400.
Or visit mbhealth.com.
The roller coaster. No matter your age, no matter the amusement park, it never ceases to bring the emotional goods, the anticipation, the excitement, and then the fear and adrenaline rush that comes with the king of all rides. The same can be said when it comes to your retirement. Lots of questions and concerns that for some can feel like a roller coaster. Will you be able to continue to live as comfortably as you do now? Will you have complete financial independence? Will you run out of money? How about taxes, Social Security, or health care? Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group can answer these questions and more with their in-depth portfolio x-ray. Call 636-230-8824 or visit theallfinancialgroup.com. And let's save the fear and adrenaline rush for the amusement park.
Investment advisory services offered by All Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor in Missouri. Insurance products are offered through its affiliate, All Insurance Group, LLC, licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
You know what's going on?
Have a great awakening.
You see through the smoke screen.
It's cool to be woke. News Talk STL.
Until it's not.
News, analysis, opinion.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, no question there is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits and all kinds of great content. Please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us. On this Wednesday, the song Sweet Home Alabama has a good line in it. In Birmingham, they love the governor. Well, we all did what we could do. The reference by Leonard Skinner is to the segregationist George Wallace, who terrorized black people in the 1960s as governor of Alabama. Ultimately, Wallace lost power, and a would-be assassin's bullet put him in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Now, I thought of the song when evaluating last week's vote. I know I did all I could do. I clearly laid out the danger from the Biden administration and the present-day Democratic Party. But millions of Americans dismissed that warning. Each voter has a reason for the ballot they cast, but history will show the destruction to our society that is going to occur over the next 2 years. Some of us will avoid the worst of it, but the poor will not. At this point, perceptive Americans will move forward and accept the so-called will of the people, no matter how misguided it is. This is not a mandate situation. More Americans voted for House Republicans than Democrats. But the progressive movement was not derailed as some of us hoped it would be. Tough 2 years ahead. Back after this. Many timeshare owners are very upset because their yearly dues have nearly doubled. Well, Lone Star will guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. With their A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau, clients know that Lone Star Transfer is a company you could trust. For a free consultation, please go to LoneStarTransfer.com or call 855-551-7066. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the NewstalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. We're going to clear the skies out overnight, at least temporarily for Wednesday. We'll see some sun. A low of 28. Cold start, some sun early, but then turning cloudy again as we get into the afternoon. That'll halt the warming and keep us chilly. A high of just 36. Also noticeable winds, a little breezy, so the wind chill around 25 for Wednesday afternoon. Thursday, a little warmer, but still a cold day. 41 for the high with mostly cloudy skies. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
News, analysis, opinion. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, Donald Trump makes his big announcement last night. What do you think about it? What's your response? Let's talk about it throughout the morning. 314-912-1019. Going to be a really interesting conversation happening tonight in St. Louis. Phil Magnus is the author of the 1619 Project, A Critique, where he, in an academic and scholarly way, although this is written for a mass audience, it's written for a popular audience, so you can definitely follow along easily. He wrote the book that basically took apart the 1619 Project and said, no, here's where your scholarship is wrong. Here's where your research is wrong. Here's where you are factually just wrong. Why is that important to still push back against that narrative of that book? We'll find out tonight. Phil is in town to speak at a Hammond Institute event, and we had a chance to catch up with him on yesterday's program. Here's a little bit of a preview. I mentioned in the past, I have drawn a lot of attention, as much as I can on this platform, to the fact that we need to constantly be looking for good, common sense, electable people to run for local school boards. And we had a little bit, I'd say we had some moderate success in the St. Louis area, getting good people onto some of the bigger school boards in the area. One of the reasons for that, and one of the reasons that we push really hard in the last couple of years, is because of what so many schools are doing with their curriculum. Now, at the K through 12 level and at the university level, one of the books that's being included often is the 1619 Project, which was put together by Hannah Nicole Jones. And there was also a book that was written that critiques it, simply called the 1619 Project, a critique. And it was written by Professor Phil Magnus, who joins us right now. And Phil, you're in town tonight. We're going to tell everybody about the Hammond Institute event that you're going to be speaking at. But let me start with kind of the foundation. You wrote the 1619 Project, a critique, and you are looking at the scholarly shortfalls, which obviously lead to the factual shortfalls, shall I politely say, of the 1619 Project. So you're not just saying I have a different opinion. You're saying, let's look at how this thing was put together. It's lacking. This isn't reliable.
That's exactly the case. You know, we find the 1619 Project is actually riddled through with historical and interpretive errors about the American past. And so far, the New York Times has shown no interest in correcting any of these errors, even though they're pretty unambiguous.
The event tonight, by the way, is called the 1619 Project, means never having to say you're sorry. And we're going to give all that information out here in just a little bit. So just to follow up, when you talk about never have to say you're sorry, that's kind of the line that that's kind of the path that you're taking with this. Is the errors have been pointed out. Hannah Nicole Jones has even blocked you on social media. She can't answer the questions about her own book. But at the same time, this thing is being included as fact in so many educational settings.
Exactly, and it's even worse than that. What we have is a case where the New York Times actually ghost edited its own text off of the website to remove some of the controversial claims. It didn't even disclose this. This was a discovery that I made in September 2020. They had removed one of the most controversial lines from the 1619 Project, this claim that 1619 rather than 1776 was America's true founding. And what does Nicole Hannah Jones do? Well, she went on CNN and denied ever having made the claim after the newspaper had removed it from its website. And yet we have all the screenshots and pictures of the original. It was clearly there, multiple instances of her saying this claim before, but she just revises her own history.
Good morning, Phil. Gabe Pfeiffer here. How does one combat this sort of ability to gaslight constantly? How do you get around people who are willing to completely throw out the reality that you see with your eyes?
Well, that's the real trick here is we have to stick to the facts. We have to stick to evidence. So I've been pretty relentless in pointing out these errors, even though the New York Times itself doesn't want to do anything to correct them. It's a matter of just holding their feet to the fire. And yes, that's going to make them mad. Yes, that makes Nicole Hannah Jones very reluctant to engage someone like me, even though she tweets about me constantly, which is one of the oddities here. But it's presenting the historical record in clear and transparent ways that students in the classroom would be able to read the evidence itself, read the original sources and documents, and figure out, quite frankly, that this person is lying. Quite frankly, that the New York Times has misrepresented basic truths about American history.
We are visiting with Phil Magnus, who is a senior research faculty at the American Institute for Economic Research. He's in St. Louis, and he's going to be speaking tonight at a Hammond Institute event, and we'll tell you where to get all the information about that if you want to attend. That's going to be, I think it's going to be a really thought-provoking conversation. So, Phil, let's talk about what is going to happen this evening. Somebody may say, okay, yep, we know the 1619 Project. Boy, we don't like that stuff, and we're against it, but this is a little deeper conversation on this. What are we going to be equipped with and walk away from tonight's event if somebody goes out to hear you speak and ask you questions, because there's a Q&A part too?
Yeah, so basically I'm going to walk through the history of how the 1619 Project started as a controversial but somewhat misguided journalism venture, but really kind of messed up the way that it handled American history, in the response, in the fallout to the criticism. So if we go all the way back to August 2019 when this was first published, I was a mild critic at the time, pointed out that it had some interpretive and factual errors, but at least it was raising some interesting questions about American history. And really what we see is over the months and years now that followed, the New York Times doubled down, tripled down on several of the errors. And it's really that was where I argued the 1619 Project goes off the rails. So one example of my own work, so I wrote a book on Abraham Lincoln and the colonization movement to basically move freed slaves back to Africa or into other places in the tropics. And this book was actually cited by Nicole Hannah-Jones early on in the fallout from the 1619 Project. She tweeted out a link to my book and said, hey, look, this proves that my interpretation of Abraham Lincoln is right. A few weeks later, she figured out that I was the author and I had been a critic of some other parts of the 1619 Project. So she goes through and she deletes all the tweets and reverses course and starts attacking me personally by name. So I had committed the sin of criticizing the 1619 Project, so my citation gets purged from it. And I think she eventually replaced it with a citation to Ibram X. Kendi's book, arguing the opposite of this. So it's completely playing games with the scholarly side to reward people who praise her and penalize people who criticize her, even though that criticism is based in fact and is merited.
Phil, I think the narrative problems with the 1619 projects are pretty evident, that they create a false narrative about America's founding and kind of draw that into our current day politics. But isn't there a larger narrative that's kind of attached to this, a larger goal here that perhaps crosses into Marxism?
Absolutely. So this is the economics of the 1619 Project, which has been a major focus of mine. Nicole Hannah-Jones used a sociologist from Princeton University by the name of Matthew Desmond to write the main chapter on economics and capitalism. And the thesis of it is essentially that slavery and American capitalism are wedded at the hip, that slavery is responsible for the United States being a wealthy nation. The problem is this is based on some really shoddy historical work, some bad statistics, bad interpretation and analysis that economists have almost universally panned. But the New York Times isn't interested in accurately representing some of the data that they're doing, so they just run with this narrative. And if you read the longer book form version of the 1619 Project, Desmond really elevates this to the top of his argument. He basically says, even at one point, that the problem with slavery is that Karl Marx had predicted the laboring class would attain class consciousness and bring about a socialist revolution. But the problem with slavery is it divided the laboring class into black and white, to free and unfree, and that prevented labor consciousness from arising as it was supposed to elsewhere in the world.
So in addition to that, slavery is antithetical to actual true capitalism and certainly antithetical to all free markets. But let's not let that muddy the waters, right, Phil?
Absolutely, yeah. And in fact, you have slave owners in the 1850s announcing that slavery is the perfect system of socialism or communism in the world because it brings order, it tells the workers where they belong. You have slave owners in the 1850s and 60s saying that Adam Smith and the doctrines of free market capitalism are at war with slavery. And you never see any of this in the 1619 Project.
So just to wrap up, then I want to give the information about where you're going to be this evening, because I think people are going to want to hear this. There are people who critique and write reviews of books and agree or disagree. Why is it so important to make sure that this particular book and all of its errors and all of its faults stays kind of in the spotlight and make sure that people understand all the problems with it?
Well, since the moment it appeared in print, the New York Times has pushed an aggressive campaign to get this into K-12 classrooms. They released it simultaneously with a classroom curriculum. This is a well-funded effort to try to bring this into the classroom as the new way that we teach American history. Well, if you care about truth, you care about basic factuality and evidence, this is like putting a mythical version, a comic book version of American history into the classroom and asking students to interpret the United States past based on error. So we're really actually going up against a very well-funded, large journalistic operation that has not paid basic attention to facts and standards of evidence. And yet that's what's being put forth as something that should be in the classroom.
Yeah, and there are actually grants being offered to public schools to include the 1619 Project in their curricula in the schools. All right, the Hammond Institute event, which you can learn more about this, is at hammondinstitute.org. Phil, good to chat with you again, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Once again, go to hammondinstitute.org and you can get the information on this evening's event. Sounds like it's going to be fascinating to me. News Roundup is coming your way in just over 4 minutes right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL right after this information break.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. What's happening today? Here's your first dose of the news you need to know. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Hey, St. Louis, it's Dan Bongino, proud to be part of the News Talk STL lineup.
Every weekday from 11 to 2, we'll get together to talk about what's going on.
News, analysis, opinion, and always some fun. Make an appointment to be with us every weekday beginning at 11 on News Talk STL.
Welcome home.
Columbo here for Agers Heating and Air Conditioning. We trust Agers with our home because their number one priority is doing right by the customer. Temperatures are changing outside, and as we transition from warmer temps to cooler ones, if you have any issues keeping your family comfortable, don't wait. Call the great team at Agers so they can address the issue before it gets worse. Because whether it's repairs or replacement, Agers is there with the clarity and attention to detail your home deserves. Contact Agers now at 636-242-6515 or through their website, callagers.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Ken and Dr. Tobler, did you see the picture of Kanye with a shirt on and on the back it said, White Lives Matter? It was originally Kanye West, right?
Yep.
Then just Kanye. Now he's just Ye. Is he?
Oh, you're kidding me. No,
yeah,
really?
Oh, yeah. Now he's just Ye, Y-E. So soon to just be E.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
855-672-1566. 855-672-1566. That's 855-672-1566.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans and your community, then join AMVETS. Each year, AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects, ranging from Americanism in our schools to supporting the Special Olympics and Boy Scouts of America. Even if you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Of course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show. Columbo and Katie. Jones and Arps.
Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble.
Subscribe and watch.
News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I don't know. You got any ideas what we should talk about today?
Not much.
Not much going on.
Kind of lazy.
All right, a few things on the radar here. Obviously, Donald Trump makes it official. He is running in 2024. We are going to review his announcement. And I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your feelings about it. 314-912-1019. We're also up and live streaming on Rumble and on Facebook and also on YouTube as well. By the way, hi there. I'm Mike. It's 5:50. That's Ken over there. Also, get this. 2 out of 3 reports say no elevated radioactive danger at the Jana Elementary School in the Hazelwood School District. This is one of the worst things you could possibly confuse parents about, but I'll get the details to that in just a moment. Also, we now know who is going to lead the Battlehawks offense on the field. I'm going to tell you which NFL veteran and collegiate national champion is coming to St. Louis. So quite a bit. That's right. A lot going on
We're actually
here.
still working on that audio, by the way.
Are you? Yeah, because Brian still really wants to hear what we can put together. For that. All right, let's start with the big story today. We're going to be getting your thoughts on this all morning long. Former President Trump says he wants to become president once again. Fox News' Rich Edson reports on his official announcement.
Former President Donald Trump even filed the paperwork with the Federal Election Commission, so this thing is about as official as it can get. Trump aides billed this as about a 25-30-minute speech. In Trump form, it lasted longer than an hour. Hundreds of supporters here at his club here in South Florida. Now, Trump's case for a second term, he says he should have had 2 terms in a row and would have addressed inflation, energy, and border security.
Everybody will agree with us because everybody sees what a bad job has been done during this 2-year period.
Democrats have a different perspective. The Democratic National Committee writes, quote, "Today is just the kickoff to what will be a messy Republican primary with candidates competing to be the most extreme MAGA Republican in the race."
All right, our assessment, your reaction. Let's go ahead first into that at 6:05. No need to wait around. We'll just jump right into it.
Sure.
Right when we get through the news roundup here. Crime and violence were the focus of a town hall meeting with St. Louis Public Safety Director Dan Isom last night. We've got an update for you on that at 6:35. St. Louis City Republican Chair Mary Teresa McClain was among those who were there, and all over the news websites from St. Louis. Smash and grabs. There was a story on a company trying to sell windows that are resistant to bricks and crowbars and things like that, because that's where we are in St. Louis now.
Did you see the fog thing too?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of technology going into this. I know another way to stop it, but I just,
we don't prosecute criminals in the city. Stop. Oh my goodness. This is St. Louis, Ken. We don't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know. All right. So we'll get that update from her at 6:35. By the way, another company says crime's out of control. We have to leave. We're leaving at the end of the year, getting out of downtown. I don't know where they're going. Maybe it's another part of St. Louis City. Maybe it's the county. I don't know.
Who's doing that?
It's a marketing company. And so 6:35, I'm going to bring that up as well. They actually told the St. Louis Business Journal, they said we were offered free space in St. Louis County a while back. We turned it down because we're devoted to downtown St. Louis, trying to be a part of the solution to turn it around. And now they're saying our employees have their cars getting broken into. It's too dangerous. We have to go. Do something. Nobody's doing anything.
No, they're not.
Nope.
And then all these things where we talk about alternatives to doing the smash and grabs, all that money that they could spend on that stuff, they could if they just gave it to the police department, that would help a lot more.
You know who else this is costing? Anybody who has insurance. in St. Louis because our insurance rates are going up because
they
basically criminals have free reign, and they damn well know it.
Oh,
that they have free reign in St. Louis City.
Do you know? Have you looked at the numbers of cars each year? 3,180 or something like that. It's amazing in 1 year.
Yeah. Exactly. It's just absolutely insane. All right, well, get this. A third round of testing for radioactive danger at Jana Elementary School has been done. We talked about this, week and a half ago, something like that. The third set of tests were done after 2 previous rounds of testing came to conflicting conclusions. So this time, St. Charles-based SCI Engineering's testing agrees with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers results. And this was that independent test that the school district ordered. They found no elevated radioactive dangers. The school has now been closed for 3 weeks. What a thing to have complete confusion on if you are a parent. Now, the first set of testing that came in that said this is dangerous, elevated, radioactive levels everywhere. That was part of a lawsuit. So basically, this was the plaintiff's lawyers coming in and hiring a company to get the testing done. And they found what the plaintiffs need. Then the Army Corps of Engineers says, no, it's basically what's in nature. And so the school district says, let's go get a third test, and they agree with the Army Corps of Engineers.
And last week, that's what I suggested, is just get an independent test, because personally, I agree. I wouldn't trust the government. I wouldn't trust those plaintiffs' lawyers. I mean, get an independent test, and they did. So if that's the bottom line, and nobody contacted them and tainted it, then that's the way it should go.
Yeah, if you're still a parent though in that area, you're still confused and scared. All right,
so Mike, what would you do in that situation if you had young children?
I know.
I would move.
Yeah.
I would have to move.
I would get out of there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, day one of the XFL's draft announcement happened yesterday, and the Battlehawks are going to be led by a 2-time NCAA national champion quarterback. You remember Alabama's A.J. McCarron?
Yeah.
He's going to be wearing the blue and silver this season.
Dude, that's a great start.
Yep, he's been bouncing around the NFL since his Bama days. Coach Anthony Beck was in Las Vegas, and he was commenting on how fired up he sees that St. Louis's, how fired up St. Louis's, fan base actually is here.
Best fan base in the XFL, no question about it. I've been up there several times, and the engagement, both socially and in person, as soon as I get off the plane, people are they're ready for football. So it's back, one of the best sports cities in the country, and they can't wait for football.
The backup quarterback is Ryan Willis from Virginia Tech.
Okay.
So that's pretty solid. I mean, McCarron, I haven't followed the NFL a number of years, and he's basically been around like 4 or 5 teams in the last 7 years. So he's bounced around, but he knows how to win.
Guess who else bounced around for a while?
Kurt Warner? Yep, he sure did. All right, one more sports note. The entire Cardinals team gets an award. St. Louis has bestowed the Team Gold Glove Award for Best Overall Defense in the National League in 2022, and that is despite having DeYoung on the field so much. Oh, I said that out loud, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
All right, we're responding to Donald Trump's announcement last night. He's running, my friends.
If you believe Brandon and the supply chain issues are still in crisis, or even if you don't, hurry into Southern Armory, your Second Amendment headquarters, for the best selection of firearms, suppressors, holsters, ammunition, pepper spray, and knives. Browse through our constantly changing inventory, order something special, or have us repair or modify that firearm that you've been putting off. Try our firearms training simulator. See the demo video on our website. Come into Southern Armory, 9901 Watson Road, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason.
America's comeback starts right now.
Donald Trump launching his third campaign for the White House, making the announcement last night before a packed house at his Florida estate. White House correspondent Greg Clugston was there and says this may put Mr. Trump on a political collision course with Florida's popular Republican governor, Ron DeSantis.
The 45th president is the only one to formally launch a campaign so far, but DeSantis continues to gain increased attention from Republicans, especially after his easy re-election here in Florida. Trump has already begun to lash out at the governor publicly, and DeSantis shot back on the day of Trump's 2024 announcement. The governor said people should go check out the scoreboard from last week's midterm elections. Greg Clugston, Palm Beach.
The Texas chief executive says that if this stands, it could be disastrous.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott is one of many today furious with a federal judge's ruling that ends a Trump-era border rule known as Title 42. A U.S. District Court judge ruled Tuesday that the measure removing illegal immigrants at the border was arbitrary and violated federal policy. The rule was enacted during the pandemic, allowing authorities to send border crossers back to Mexico due to public health concerns. Governor Abbott said the decision will tell cartels and criminals that an already porous border is now wide open. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says there were more than 230,000 border encounters in October, with the majority of the illegal immigrants coming from Cuba and Nicaragua. Tasha Stevens reporting.
French President Macron urging caution following a deadly missile strike on Poland. Macron saying at this point, too early to know exactly what happened. And NASA this morning has launched an experimental unmanned mission to the moon. Wall Street, Dow futures up 4 points, NASDAQ futures down 9. More on these stories, townhall.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Dell. Dell's Black Friday event starts today with up to $600 off on select XPS and Alienware PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors, plus special pricing on accessories and free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. Traffic barely moving on westbound 70 due to a crash between Route K and Bryan Road. It was blocking all lanes. Now only the right lane is open, and traffic is a solid jam at Mid-Rivers eastbound 70 commuters. You're on the brakes for a look. They cleared an injury accident eastbound 70 at 141. Downtown westbound 44 just past the Poplar Street Bridge. There's an accident, and that's jamming up traffic. Also an accident blocking the left lane southbound 270 before 44. I'm Tori Lyons from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. We're going to clear the skies out overnight, at least temporarily for Wednesday. We'll see some sun. A low of 28. Cold start, some sun early, but then turning cloudy again as we get into the afternoon. That'll halt the warming and keep us chilly. A high of just 36. Also noticeable winds, a little breezy, so the wind chill around 25 for Wednesday afternoon. Thursday, a little warmer, but still a cold day. 41 for the high with mostly cloudy skies. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by House Sold Easy. Looking to sell a house fast? Call David today at 314-293-3000. That's David with House Sold Easy at 314-293-3000.
Bring your family to the 4th annual Moolah Festival of Trees to experience a winter wonderland with over 40 exquisitely decorated Christmas trees with amazing gift packages November 19th through 26th at the Moolah Shrine. Purchase raffle tickets for just $1 for a chance to take home one or more of these creative and beautifully designed trees, including the gifts, which include toys, tools, sports items, kayaks, barbecue pits, gift cards, and even a complete HVAC system for your home. Tree values range from $500 to over $12,000. The Festival of Trees is an exciting Christmas event for all ages. You can take a souvenir photo with Santa Claus to capture a memory of the spirit of Christmas. And be sure to visit Santa's Cafe for some refreshing treats. Adult admission is $2. Kids 12 and under are free at the Moolah Shrine Center at 12545 Fifi Road. Details at moolah.org.
St. Louis's place to talk.
The American people have further lost faith in our governmental institutions.
People can decide what they want and how they want to live.
News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up!
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Well, we knew that's what was going to happen. I mean, we say we knew. It was, 95% sure that's what was going to happen, but it's official. Donald Trump is running for the White House once again. He wants to become only the second president ever to be elected to non-consecutive terms. All right, real quick, who's the other one? Come on, quick.
Was it an Adams?
No.
Okay. Monroe?
Nope.
Gosh.
Jackson?
Grover Cleveland.
Grover Cleveland. Of course. Nobody cares about Grover Cleveland in terms of historical analysis.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yeah.
So he made that announcement last night. That was happening at Mar-a-Lago 1 week after the midterms. Fox News' Eben Brown has the update.
Former President Trump, in softer than usual tones, accused President Biden of wrecking economic progress since taking office and says a new Trump administration would reverse that.
The socialist disaster known as the Green New Deal, which is destroying our country, and the many crippling regulations that it has spawned, will be immediately terminated so that our country can again breathe and grow and thrive like it should.
Mr. Trump also laid praise on Republicans for winning control of the House, saying that Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic Speaker, had been fired by voters. One name the hopeful former president did not mention, that of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. In Palm Beach, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Okay, I got to tell you, I was surprised by the tone of the speech. It was very, very measured, very, very tempered. There was no name calling. There was none of that nonsense that has happened before, and there was a pattern. So he would always come back after a few minutes to the economy over and over and over and over. And the pattern was he would point out just how crappy things have become under the Biden administration. Then he would make we're going to make everything great again type thing. Then he would come back to the economy. And so that was the pattern. He kept coming back to the economy on his speech. I caught about the first 45 minutes, and then I had to get to bed, and I just caught the rest of it this morning. So I did watch the entire speech. But I remember guys being really surprised that he was not doing the election was stolen stuff, or he was not doing the some of the conspiracy theory stuff. He was focusing on the economy, and he was focusing on how bad the Biden administration did. I was very pleasantly surprised.
By all reports, and I didn't watch any of it, actually. I'm just so busy these days. I'm getting ready for a trip. But I always kind of check out people's responses to speeches, because I'm kind of more interested in how people took it. And from all accounts that I've seen, he was very measured. He was very, dare I say, presidential in his delivery and what he was doing. And a lot of people who were getting a little bit on the fence because of some of his recent statements and behavior, they were like, okay, I'm back on. It's like, if this is the Trump that we're getting during the campaign and for the presidency, then I'm all in. So he may have won back people who were on the fence, which is a very interesting kind of aspect to this whole deal.
Yeah, I wasn't on the fence, but I was climbing it. Yeah, because of certain remarks. I don't want to go down that road again. There were a couple of things that I noticed, and one thing, you guys, it's harder for me, excuse me, to divorce myself from being the person that how much I care about this president as a policymaker. Mm-hmm. I had to just listen to him as a person. What are you going to do for this country? And positive, negative, what are you saying about this country? And I got a good feeling. I got a good feeling of what he says is important to him as a president and what he wants to do with the people. Now, when he started talking about the people, what I noticed is that he was mentioning Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives. He was going down the list and say, we all need to be united. That's something we haven't heard in a long time. And even when it was said by our current president, he didn't mean it.
And we hear lip service to that all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of disingenuous when you get it from Democrats.
Because what that actually means is you need to change your mind and do what I tell you to do.
Yeah,
right. That's what that means when you hear that out of politicians most of the time.
And I really got a feeling that Trump meant what he was saying. He wants to bring people together. Now, it's going to take two sides to do that. He's going to offer it up, and they might slap his hand. They might punch him in the face. Okay, but at least he's there to offer it up.
314-912-1019. I've now got the chat box up on Rumble. I'm keeping an eye to see what people have to say about it. What is your reaction to this? Obviously, regardless of whether or not any other top-tier Republicans get into this race, Donald Trump is obviously clearly the front runner in it. Mm-hmm. But here's the difference, is that I don't think that he can just assume he's going to be coronated the Republican nominee this time around. He's going to have to re-earn it because there are a number of people who are sort of saying, you know what, I'm going to keep my options open this time. I'm going to date around a little bit, whereas they didn't really do that in 2020. Now, I do think that Donald Trump can earn those back, but at this point, I think he needs to have the mindset that he's going to have to campaign and win again. And if he wants to start throwing bombs at every other Republican out there who doesn't support him on everything, he's going to find that tactic biting him in the butt. I have no idea whether that had anything to do with his very measured, very tempered approach last night, because, he goes after Ron DeSantis and quickly that ended. That did not go over well at all. And I've got one soundbite from Ron DeSantis I'll play later today, but this isn't DeSantis' day. This is Trump's day.
But I said this to you guys off the mic. I pray, and I said it, I think 3 times, that Donald Trump learned this lesson, and last night was the beginning of the way he's going to deliver himself.
If that's the case, it's going to make for a much stronger campaign.
Oh yeah, absolutely. His recent delivery does. I don't want to say calls into question, because that's not really what I mean. But it stands in kind of stark juxtaposition with his statements and behaviors just post the election. So particularly with the DeSantis remarks. So I'm wondering. Are we going to get the back and forth? Is he going to go back and forth between those two? Did he learn his lesson for good in terms of the GOP response in particular to that? Or is the presidential Trump that we saw during the announcement a temporary thing? Like, so that's the question that we're going to have going forward, and we're going to see. And hey, we're going to keep watching, and you're going to get all of the reporting here at NewstalkSTL.
Absolutely. I'm going to be watching, but I'm also going to be giving him some room too, because he's going to need to be an attack dog. He's going to have to do some things that some people just aren't going to like. But I think if he stays in this lane and then occasionally jumps out and says, "Look, you're treating me this way. Here's what you get,"
Well, just direct that at the other side, though.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think he needs to really temper down what he's doing to the Republicans, because there's something called the
Reagan
rule.
rule.
The 11th
Commandment.
Yeah.
Yep, Ronald Reagan's 11th Commandment.
Look that up, because it's very a very important thing right now.
Basically, no friendly fire, please.
Right. Well,
right.
And there's also the idea, I think, that a lot of people have the perception of Donald Trump is that if you don't repeatedly kiss the ring, then you are going to be attacked. And I think there are just enough people who have had enough of that. And maybe Donald Trump's listening. Maybe he's not. I don't know.
I just hope he is, yeah.
Because last night's speech was different than what we have heard from him for years. I was sitting there in my office watching it in my house, and I'm just kind of shaking my head. I'm like, where did this come from? I was expecting name calling. I was expecting, to hear all about the 2020 elections again. I was expecting, all this stuff. Now, again, there were a couple things I didn't agree with, that he said, but for the most part, he focused on where he should have been focused on the economy, on the Biden administration failures.
I'm sorry, Mike. Also, keep in mind that the media is going to do everything in their power, and some people on the left are going to try and put him and pit him and Ron DeSantis apart. They're going to want to put them together to cause an issue.
You said the media and people on the left as though they're different entities of people.
Well, that's yeah. As I was saying, I'm thinking propaganda wing of the left. Anyway, okay,
yeah, same. Yeah.
All right, your turn. 314-912-1019. I guess a couple of questions we can put out on the table. One, just what's your feeling? What was your reaction to what you heard with the announcement, or just the news that he's announced? And I guess the second one is, have you made up your mind for or against Donald Trump? Or are you going to sit back and say, let me see what else develops on this? I do think this was a little too early for him to announce, but he's in, it's official. He's done what he's taken those steps. I think he should have waited till after the Georgia election, but that's just me. He doesn't pay me to be a consultant for him. So 314-912-1019. We have an official candidate for president of the United States right now. It is 6:16 right now. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Just two minor crashes right now. 30 at Old Sugar Creek. It's eastbound, but it's not blocking. And then a minor one on Tesson Ferry just north of 270 at Carroll Lynn Drive. Those are our only incidents. Our volume is still pretty light for this time of the morning, so we're still doing okay. This report sponsored by Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. I sell custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters that are easy to install at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are custom-made for your windows, and I guarantee they'll fit. Don't hire a pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
When is a financial help show not just a financial help show? When it's Pocket Watching with JT, the caller-driven financial talk show focused on helping you get your money right. Jason Thornton is a certified financial planner licensed in both tax and investments. You get JT's real reaction to all your money and business questions. Plus, you get JT's take on all the latest financial news. This is not just another financial show. Pocket Watching with JT now every Friday night at 8 p.m. on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Columbo and Katie.
When is the timeline of an announcement like that appropriately expected?
First off, if it was not Donald Trump, I would tell you that it would happen probably next spring, late winter, early spring. Donald Trump doesn't do things traditionally. No. I would argue, it would not surprise me that he would, if he were to announce, between the election and the end of the year.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2
on Newstalk STL.
Let me tell you about my good friends Mike and Beverly Sloan over at Elite Printing and Packaging. Going on their 21st year in business, a success story that began in Mike's basement and now employs hundreds right here in the St. Louis community. Elite is a turnkey solution for all your retail printing and packaging needs. Custom built to suit your business. Call 636-561-8970 or email elitesolutionsgroup.com. And don't forget to use the code word Patriot to receive free design and artwork for your first project.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point. With all of the focus lately on the midterm elections, it's perhaps understandable we've not been dialed in on happenings elsewhere. I've been vaguely aware of the protests going on in Iran following the beating death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini for failure to follow Iran's strict Islamic dress code, but only vaguely. Monday night, I saw a tweet that knocked me out of my ignorant complacency. It said that the Iranian parliament had voted overwhelmingly to execute the almost 15,000 protesters arrested during the unrest. In fact, that vote occurred a week ago following a letter from 227 members of parliament calling for harsh punishment of the protesters to serve as a, quote, good lesson. In response to that letter, journalist and activist Masih Alinejad observed that Parliament wanted to execute innocent protesters who chanted women, life, freedom. Contrast that with the way protesters are treated here in the U.S. Even when they engage in violent, destructive behavior, criminal repercussions aren't a guarantee. Given our embrace of free speech and freedom of expression, and our long history of even rowdy protests challenging authority, the notion of meeting that with capital punishment is unfathomable. Things may be a mess here in the U.S., but I'll take our mess over the tyranny we see elsewhere any day.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
But I'm not going to turn my dial off for you guys. I really like this channel.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
All right, 6:35. We're going to get an update from our friends over at the St. Louis City Republican Party, Mary Teresa McLean. There was a public kind of a town hall sort of meeting with Public Safety Director Dan Isom, and we're going to get an update on that because it's just daily. I mean, it's almost like criminals know they have free reign over a city.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they do. I'm just saying it's almost like they know that, and we're inching closer to the freaking purge in the actual city of St. Louis City. So we'll get an update on that meeting. 314-912-1019. Get your thoughts on reaction to Donald Trump's announcement. It's official. He's in. He's running for president in 2024. In the meantime here, real quick note, there was a rally at the Missouri State Capitol yesterday. I don't know if you guys remember back in 2005. Kirkwood Police Sergeant William McEntee was brutally murdered.
I remember his name.
Yeah, he was brutally murdered. Well, His killer is Kevin Johnson, who's now 37 years old. There was a rally at the state capitol trying to convince the governor to give him clemency, reduce his death penalty to life in prison. Okay, 20,000 signatures. And I just want to point out that some of the arguments being made in favor of clemency and against executing this cop killer. The organizations I'm sure you'd recognize, obviously, the NAACP, Missourians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty. They always say in the media religious organizations, and when they say that, that means liberal churches, you know, the rainbow flag flying churches, that sort of thing.
The churches with quotes.
Right, exactly, yeah. And so the complaints include systemic racism in the system. Okay, they're also complaining about he's really not a bad guy. I'll read that quote in a second. Yeah, I know. And then he's sorry. And of the three, he's sorry is the most credible of these cases, but it shouldn't change anything. So
I'll bet he is sorry. He's sorry he's going to die.
Sorry he got caught.
Yeah, so Nimrod Chappell Jr., who's the president of the Missouri NAACP, is quoted as saying, "Punishing people because you have the ability to is not justice."
What?
The two don't even make sense.
Oh my
together.
gosh!
Yeah.
What sort of?
He also goes on to say Kevin Johnson is one of the many people who are suffering in Missouri's penal institution as a result of the injustices.
Injustices, such as
Okay, can you remind us what he did?
Okay, because this case was prosecuted by Bob McCullough in St. Louis County. He was asked about it. He prosecuted the case, and he says the death penalty is appropriate in this particular case because Johnson ambushed, purposefully attacked McEntee. McCullough said Johnson shot the officer 5 times in the patrol car, which then crashed, and then shot the officer 2 more times when he was pulled out of the car on his hands and his knees.
Oh, he's not a bad guy.
Oh yeah. He was suffering because of the system.
Yeah. 19 years old at the time that the murder happened. His daughter, named Corey Ramey, is quoted as saying, "I would want people to know he's not a bad person. He just made a terrible mistake that could possibly cost him his life. I would just want people to have mercy on him and reconsider." Well, on the very, 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 very off chance that his daughter, Corey Ramey, is listening, hey, dumbass, your dad's a bad guy.
Yes. Yeah. And he needs to die.
Yeah. And so he's scheduled to be executed on the 29th of this month.
Do you know much about his McAtee's family at all?
I don't.
Yeah.
No.
But I'm sure he has a family that, would love to see him. See, the thing is, this guy goes to jail for life. His family can still see him every day if they want to. They can't see McEntee anymore.
Yeah. Excuse me. You can't guarantee me that the laws are going to change in 15 years.
Right.
And somebody's going to say, well, he was 19 at the time.
It's like, come on now.
He said he was sorry.
Yeah.
He did. Well, he did say he's sorry.
And remorse is a factor. Don't get me wrong. It's just the closer you get to the needle, the more remorseful you tend to be.
And forgiveness is a Christian trait.
It is. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and that's the thing. Everybody gets their last rites prior to the chair. Yeah. Make good with God before you meet him.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And I say this again. This is I think the second or third time in the last 6 months we've talked about somebody on death row for something completely heinous.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I'm one of those who's okay with having a big debate and consider reform on the death penalty. But it was made for cases like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody's arguing you didn't do it.
Right. That's the thing. That's the thing to me. I mean, I'm with you, Mike, that I think we need to be very, very careful about the way we allow the state to kill its citizens, right? So I think the threshold for the death penalty needs to be really, really high, but then I think we need to be very, very deliberate in going ahead with it and having it and using it where appropriate. So if the laws were changed to my druthers, this guy would have been on the fast track. How long did he wait on death row before this?
Well, the crime happened in 2005. So I don't know when the actual trial happened.
Nearly 20 years ago.
There are mandatory appeals, and I'm actually okay with that. Because with a death penalty case,
I think they should be fast, though.
Well, with the capital case here like this, okay, you can be convicted for proof beyond a reasonable doubt. When you're talking about ending a human life, it had better be proof beyond any doubt.
Yes.
With the other aggravating circumstances involved as well. This should be, we talk about the ultimate penalty, then that means that the burden is on the state government or the local prosecutor to prove beyond any doubt that this is warranted, because you are in fact ending a human life. Now, maybe that's justly, but you still need to make that such a high standard that it is beyond any question that the person deserves it, whether they get it or not.
Okay, but what's worse? What is the worst thing, worse than any of the crimes? It would be killing an innocent person, giving him the death penalty.
Correct.
That would be worse.
Yes.
So this particular case, I mean, each case is individual. They look through it. I mean, there's never been a question as to who did it, right?
Not really. No. I mean, he was convicted. They're not arguing that he didn't do it. They're acknowledging that he did it. There's no question that this person, in a premeditated fashion,
and thus he's sorry, right?
Right, he's sorry. But and that's my point. I mean, that would be horrible if someone innocent died or was killed by the state. But at the same time, if you know, and to Gabe's point, because I'm kind of on his side about the speediness of this, if you are done, if you have relinquished, I mean, if you've exhausted every avenue of possibility that he didn't do it, do it.
And here's what I mean by a reform. Like I would have it so that you can actually have a different type of trial for people in this situation where the evidence is so stacked, and that would just be the speedy pipeline to it. No appeals, just fry them.
Put it first on the docket.
Exactly.
With it. All right, just ahead here, crime in St. Louis City. Public Safety Director Dan Isom meets with the public. We're getting an update on what happened because it's beyond out of control at this point in St. Louis, as we all know. And then, of course, get your reaction to Donald Trump's announcement. He is in for the 2024 presidential race. We knew it was coming. Now it's official. We got plenty of time. 7:05. Get your thoughts on that. Rumble right now. Facebook right now. YouTube right now. Let us know what you think right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at NewstalkSTL.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. A Cole County judge ruled Monday that a state agency previously led by Josh Hawley broke public record sunshine laws on purpose to help his U.S. Senate campaign. The judge fined the Attorney General's office $12,000 and attorney fees, the maximum penalty for violating the sunshine law. AZZ Precoat Metals, a provider of coil coating solutions, is planning to build a facility in Washington, Missouri. The company is investing $110 million into a plant and aims to create around 80 new jobs. The 25-acre facility is planned in the area of Oldenburg Industrial Park and is expected to open by 2025. Sun Country Airlines plans to resume service to St. Louis this summer. The Sun Country Chief Revenue Officer said new service to Charlotte, Columbus, Kansas City, and St. Louis will coordinate with their Major League Soccer charter service. Winterfest at Keener Plaza kicks off this Saturday and will go through January 1st. Activities will include rentable outdoor igloos, ice skating, s'mores stations, character meet and greets, and New Year's Eve fireworks. And in sports, the St. Louis Battlehawks have selected former Alabama star and Heisman Trophy runner-up A.J. McCarron and also Virginia Tech alum Ryan Willis as their two quarterbacks. The XFL announced quarterback selections for each of the league's 8 teams on Tuesday as part of the 2022 draft. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Doing well on the interstates, 30 westbound at New Sugar Creek. We've got one lane closed due to a single vehicle crash, no delay, and the eastbound traffic is most of the volume this morning anyway. You're doing just fine there. 270 is okay, headed up through Tesson Ferry in Manchester this morning. We do have a crash on Tesson Ferry north of 270 at Carroll Lynn, but it doesn't sound like that's causing much of an issue either. This report sponsored by Blindster.com, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and my company is Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 to provide custom blinds, shades, and shutters at affordable prices. Our blinds are easy to install and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive professional. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a cold start, wind chills will be in the 20s all day and a high temperature in the mid-30s. In and out of the clouds a little bit. An occasional flurry is possible. It's going to be cold tonight. Lows in the mid-20s tomorrow morning and wind chills in the teens. The high on Thursday, 40 degrees. Even colder on Friday. And it looks like a chilly weekend, too, before things finally warm up a little bit first part of next week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Budweiser's Guns N' Hoses returns to the Enterprise Center on Wednesday, November 23rd. This great St. Louis event is celebrating its 35th anniversary. Doors open at 4:30 p.m. General admission tickets are just $20. Guns N' Hoses features 12 professional boxing and MMA matches. All proceeds benefit Backstoppers. That's the Budweiser Guns N' Hoses, Wednesday, November 23rd at the Enterprise Center. For more information, visit stlgunsandhoses.com. That's stlgunsandhoses.com.
The news and talk.
These missile launches
fired from North Korea.
That matters to St. Louis.
The 300,000 people that have come through this year alone, they've been trespassing.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
What's happening?
News Talk STL.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
All right, Donald Trump makes it official. He is in. We are starting to get the comments on Rumble, getting him on, Facebook, Gabe? We're getting those as well. So we definitely want to hear from you as well. 314-912-1019, both towards the end of this hour and after the information break at the top of the hour as well. Plenty of time. I really want to know what you think. I'm Mike Ferguson, 637, because frankly, reactions are different. It's not a uniform thing the way that it was 4 years ago. Gabe Pfeiffer's here. Ken Williams is here. Joined now by Mary Teresa McLean from the St. Louis City Republicans. We're actually not talking about presidential races with Mary Teresa. We were talking a little bit earlier, Mary Teresa, regarding obviously the crime that's just continuing to escalate in St. Louis City. Matter of fact, one of the big marketing companies, I saw a report in the St. Louis Business Journal overnight saying that they have tried to be a cheerleader for downtown St. Louis, but they just can't take it anymore. When their lease expires, they are leaving downtown at the end of the year. They've got employees with their cars being smashed in and all of these things. So another business is leaving, even businesses that have intentionally tried to stay and not make St. Louis, downtown in particular, a ghost town. So there's a town hall meeting last night with the public safety director, Dan Isom. How did that go?
Well, believe it or not, we had a poor turnout. It was at a neighborhood association meeting in South St. Louis, and but we had a turnout. It was decent. It just wasn't the turnout that I was expecting with the announcement that we were having the director of public safety there.
Good morning, Mary Teresa. So, what was discussed during the meeting? What were the primary points that you guys went over?
Well, we heard from the neighborhood association president, Keith Fairchild. We heard from the director of public safety, Dan Isom, and we heard from Alderman Tom Oldenburg. They all chimed in, and some of the key points are that with crime so high, and we have a lot of crime that happens at the QT in South St. Louis. And QT has actually hired ex-military at $35 an hour. They report to safeguard that location, and that. So I'm just going to go over the points as they were talked, and that our 9/11 is they're asking that we don't use it as much because it's overused. They want us to use the number 314-231-1212 for non-emergency. But I think when people are having an emergency, they need to be using the 911. And Dan Isom did say, if you're having an emergency, use 911. But he did say that it's being very overused. And, when you call 911, a lot of times you don't even get an answer. So I'm not even sure where that's going. It was kind of frightening to hear that. Interestingly enough, the director of public safety, he praised the circuit attorney's office for great work. And I think all of us were shaking our heads at that. But he did say that he is fighting for the police to get a 10 to 15% raise. Now, however, it was talked about that our police, their take-home pay is about $38,000 a year. A 10 to 15% raise would take that only up to $44,000. Who can live on that? Who? That's just ridiculous. Especially when you go over to Edwardsville and they're hiring police for $90,000 a year in the small town of Edwardsville. So that was an interesting point. And he also said that the city of St. Louis is now paying for traffic calming. We're paying $40 million for traffic calming in St. Louis, but we're only looking for a 10 to 15% raise for the police. I'm not sure how that works out. Then when the Board of Aldermen, or when the Alderman Tom Oldenburg got up to speak, he talked about how, it's just unbelievable. The Post-Dispatch is reporting that the aldermen want to get their pay doubled, but the police are only going to be getting a 10 to 15% raise. I don't understand that. Now, this alderman, Tom Oldenburg, he talked about how he's going to fight that. That is not something that he's going to go for, and that other aldermen are going to fight that double pay raise. So we'll see. And our Board of Aldermen president-elect, Megan Green, she's determined to legalize prostitution in the city of St. Louis. So we need some big changes in the city, and we just had an election, so we're just going to keep fighting. But we're hoping for a bigger turnout at that next neighborhood association meeting.
Good morning, Mary Teresa. This is Ken. You mentioned traffic calming for $40 million. What is that?
It's like roadblocks and those big balls at the end where, prevents people from passing through an intersection, narrowing lanes, revamping the way the lights work. I think that had our heads really shaking. what in the world are we doing spending $40 million on traffic calming, and we're only wanting to pay the police 10 to 15% more?
I'm still trying to get my head around the idea that he praised the circuit attorney, Kim Gardner, saying she's doing any sort of job whatsoever. I mean, any sort of good job. I mean, that's right there just undermines credibility in my perspective. Did anybody question that at the meeting?
I think we were just dumbfounded by it.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm going to say in his defense, Dan Eisen's defense, he's doing what he can to get the police more. He talked about he is fighting to not only get them a 10 to 15% pay raise, but that they would have double overtime. They would have something called take-home cars, so that the police cars would be in their driveways and maybe deter crime in neighborhoods. I do believe that he is a real an advocate for the police force.
Now, of course, as best as we can tell, he doesn't really have support anywhere else in the city to help accomplish these things. I mean, as much as we'd like the cars in a driveway to be a deterrent, if someone who carjacks a uniformed officer isn't being prosecuted, then how much of a deterrent can it actually be?
That'll be the first car with the windows smashed through with a brick is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That could be. I'm going to tell you the neighborhood association meeting, and it was in Boulevard Heights neighborhood, which is down by Conduit Park and River to Pear area. They are really a strong neighborhood association headed up by Keith Fairchild. He is a strong leader for that neighborhood association meeting.
All right,
neighborhood association.
Mary Teresa McLean, we got to get to an information segment here. Appreciate you just giving the update. I think it's important people know, first of all, that not a lot of people turned out to address this when this is, I would say, the biggest issue affecting St. Louis City right now. And secondly, not there to sort of push back and say, dude, no, she's part of the problem, which is why your guys aren't sticking around, because they can do their job and then have the criminals just simply get out, assuming that she'll even take a report from that police officer based on whether she likes him or not. But appreciate the update on that. We'll probably pester you for more of them sooner rather than later.
Sure, anytime. Glad to do it.
All right, thanks a lot. Mary Teresa McLean from the St. Louis City Republican Party, and you can find them easily online, so go ahead and check them out as well. All right, 314-912-1019, the story of the day, obviously. Donald Trump makes it official. He's running for president. He wants to be, number 45 and number 47?
And 47, yep.
45 and 47. What's your take on that? Let's talk about it. Still ahead here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Starting to pick up a little volume, 55 north running up through Loughborough in Virginia. 21 northbound at Hayden. Single vehicle crash, car versus deer at the entrance ramp, but fire and EMS crews are on the scene. 30 westbound at Sugar Creek. They're wrapping up an accident that should just about be taken care of. This report sponsored by Blindster.com, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and my company is Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 to provide custom blinds, shades, and shutters at affordable prices. Our blinds are easy to install and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive professional. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now. Put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. Rodney and Jen have the experience and work ethic that sets them apart from all the rest. That's why they sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor and have so many qualified buyers right now. They'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. The results tell Tony speak for themselves.
That's right, Tim. In fact, I recently benefited from those results personally. My wife and I couldn't be happier with the job the Wallners did for us, selling our old home in less than 2 days for significantly more than we were asking for and finding us the perfect new home. Like so many others, we loved working with Rodney and Jen, the Wallner home selling team with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you're thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. That's 800-561-3405.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Wednesday, happy hump day. We'll have Dr. Link at 4:07, at 4:25, Mike Ferguson at 5:25. The most conservative governors won.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30
on News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the Morning. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
All right, 7:05. Donald Trump makes it official. He is running again in the 2024 elections. I want to know your feelings about that. I'm going to read off a few of the comments that we're getting on social media, especially on our live streams. But if you want to get in on this, let's do it. 314-912-1019. I've got my assessments. I was actually surprised by the tone of it, which we'll get into at 7:05. I know, Gabe, I think you were the same way. Ken, you observed the same thing I did. There was a couple things that he said I don't agree with, just from a policy perspective.
Sure.
But for the most part, he was keeping the focus where it should be, on the economy, on the failures of the Biden administration, and he didn't do all the name calling stuff that we've become accustomed to. So there's a lot to consider on that. We are streaming on Rumble, which is where I've got a couple comments. You're seeing some comments on the Facebook live stream, Gabe, and we'll look up the YouTube. If you can find Mike Ferguson in the Morning on YouTube, we are streaming there once again. Like I said, it is 6:51. Just a quick update in the Hazelwood School District at the Jana Elementary School. Of course, and I was one of them who did this. We got a report that said this company came in from Boston. They did all this testing. They found dangerous elevations of radiation in the kitchens, in the playgrounds, in the classrooms, and there was obviously a big uproar, as there should be, for something like this. Now, this company that was doing the testing was doing so as part of a lawsuit. So, the plaintiffs have their company come in and do the testing, and what do you know? They found all these dangerous levels. Well, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers responds and comes in and says the radiation levels are basically where they are in nature everywhere. Now, remember, this is near Coldwater Creek. This is near the nuclear waste manufacturing, or a nuclear waste site, the nuclear manufacturing site from World War II. So we know there are problems in that area, but at Jana Elementary School, the Army Corps of Engineers says we just don't see it. So the school district, which has now closed Jana Elementary School, at this point probably permanently.
Really?
At least through the end of the school year, they've closed it, and they're taking all these kids to other schools. Parents are freaking out, saying we just heard about this radiation on the news, and there was a lot of communication issues, and people are upset because why wouldn't you be?
Right.
Well, yeah.
I'd be freaking out.
Absolutely.
If my kid were going to school there. Well, so the school district decides to hire another company to do an independent test and to go in and do their own radioactivity test. Well, now we've got 3 of them, and this one agrees with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and saying there's just no elevated radioactivity here. Radioactivity, by the way, is something that happens in nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't something that only happens in science fiction movies because of meteorites hitting or nuclear waste or anything like that.
It's natural.
Right.
Yeah.
But obviously concentrated with uranium and nuclear waste, that there are unnatural and unhealthy levels. I mean, but we're saying is that just the word radioactivity, you go to your backyard and you could find radioactivity.
Yeah, it just depends on how sensitive your detection equipment is.
So let's critique our industry. Did we, and I say we because I did it too, in the media, simply jump all over that first report, taking it at face value, not considering, wait a minute, this is a company for the plaintiffs in a lawsuit, and jump the gun on this and contribute to the, I don't want to say hysteria because I think this is a justified thing to be worried about, especially with the history of Coldwater Creek. It's not like this is a brand new thing.
Absolutely.
We've known there are problems for decades out there. We know this. So the Army Corps of Engineers comes in and we kind of immediately go, oh, well, yeah, of course the government's going to say they didn't find anything. And now an independent test comes in and says, no, the Army Corps of Engineers got this one right. And obviously the Boston company is like, no, we used a better technique. And so now you've got more confusion, and these poor parents in the school district just want their kids to go to bed without glowing in the dark.
Yeah.
So where do you go from here if you're a parent?
Now, here's the thing. As a parent, I'm not taking any chances.
Right.
You know the idea that's like, oh well, best 2 out of 3 they win. So I'm gonna just trust everything and
2 out of
move
3 ain't
forward.
bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's like no, this is my child. This is my legacy. I'm not leaving it up to chance. So and the schools have already started the process of moving the kids to different locations and basically making it an assigned school elsewhere. I would take that deal, and I would be looking to move my family elsewhere.
But if it turns out that the radioactivity levels are just natural, should the school district go, you know what? Hey, we had a big scare. Turns out it's just not there. Next year, we're going back to Janet Elementary. The school building's already there. It's working. It's functional. We're not doing this again.
But at that point, then my skepticism comes in, and as a parent, I'm just saying, not only is my child not going to be in that school, but if I live near there, we're moving.
Yeah,
we're going to move.
I think that snowball's already rolling downhill.
Yeah. It is.
You're not gonna. I think if the school, for some reason, decided, oh well, we've got best 2 out of 3, we're gonna stop the entire process. We're gonna reopen the school. Everybody's going back in. I don't think that'll go over well with the public.
No. Every time a kid gets sick, somebody's gonna go, there it is. Where's my
Every
lawyer?
time.
That's what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah,
and lawsuits and everything.
God forbid one kid comes out with cancer at some point from that school, even later in life.
Right. Yep.
The lawsuit will be huge. It'll destroy the school.
I mean, one kid ends up growing a tail, and they're going to blame you. No, but okay.
Third eye right in the middle of his head. It's not going to work.
Yep.
It would actually be better for him.
An extra kid coming out of the side.
That's right.
A head.
But that's the thing is,
a better neck.
Is we know
better neck.
Better neck.
Sorry.
Oh man,
this took a weird turn.
See, but
that
what
was
happens
fun.
if this turns out to be? I don't want to say nothing because it is near Coldwater Creek.
Sure.
Which, by the way, has never flooded onto the property. I didn't know that until overnight when I was reading multiple reports on this.
Yeah,
right.
It's never flooded. It doesn't have a pathway on there. So could this have been a case of, a lawyer's contractor giving them what they needed? I don't know.
Entirely
Could it be
possible.
a case of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers simply trying to save face? I don't know.
Lawyers below board? What
I know,
what are you
exactly.
saying?
Yeah, imagine that. So a lot of tough things, and parents are just in a horrible, horrible situation out there. And all right, just ahead, Donald Trump makes it official. He's in. We're talking about it. Want to get your thoughts on that just ahead right after this information segment on 1019 941 News Talk STL.
When's the last time you checked your 401k balance? Well, let me prepare you. It's not pretty. The 40-year record high inflation has cost many Americans almost 25% of their 401k savings, and with a volatile market hinting at a possible worse recession, I'm worried. Are you? Meanwhile, President Biden was recently questioned at an ice cream shop if he was worried about the economy.
Our economy is strong as hell. Inflation is worldwide. It's worse off everywhere else than it is in the United States.
So you have a choice to make. You can sit back and relax like the president and act like nothing is happening, or you can be proactive and call Steve Auld of the Auld Financial Group and stop losing your money. Call Steve today and ask for that Stop Losing the Money plan. 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or visit yourmoneymattersstl.com. Advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, the Auld Financial Group, and Retirement Wealth Advisors not affiliated. Insurance and annuities offered through the Auld Financial Group.
Have you been floored? Not until you've gone to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Save money and get quality at Michael's. Plus, your installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Hey folks, Tim Jones here for Hanson's Tree Service. As my daughters would say, it's fall, y'all. That means it's the perfect time to call Hanson's. Prime time for Hanson's to come out and do all that fall trimming before winter storms can bring down trees and limbs on the homestead. Get on the Hanson's schedule for winter dormant oil applications to protect your trees from insects taking shelter over the winter, and a perfect time for Hanson's to put you on a preventative plant health care program. Everything you need for winter can be found at Hanson's. Hanson'sTree.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Donald Trump makes it official.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Mr. Trump announcing his candidacy to a packed house at his Florida estate. White House correspondent Greg Clugston was on hand in Palm Beach for the announcement and says it paves the way for a potential rerun of the 2020 election.
President Biden has said he intends to run for re-election despite concerns from some in his party over his age and low approval ratings. Trump also faces obstacles, including a possible long list of GOP challengers. If it comes down to Biden and Trump, age will be a factor once again. They were already the oldest presidential nominees ever when they ran back in 2020. Greg Clugston, Palm Beach, Florida.
Poland now says there is absolutely no indication that a missile which came down in Polish farmland, killing 2 people, was an intentional attack on the NATO country. Now thought that Ukrainian forces may have fired the missile, which went off course. The G20 summit has wrapped up with a condemnation of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
The conflict has loomed large over the 2-day summit held on Bali in Indonesia. With the G20 warning the war has intensified fragilities in the world's economy. The summit's closing declaration is noteworthy in highlighting the war, given the divisions among the group, which includes not only Russia itself, but also countries such as China and India that have significant trade ties with Moscow and have stopped short of outright criticism of the war. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Texas stepping up efforts to secure the southern border, those efforts being given a boost by Governor Abbott's declaration of an invasion along the border. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures are down 28 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Nothing huge on the interstates. We do, however, have a crash with persons trapped Route W at Pine Hollow Farms. Also in Jefferson County, Lions Den Road is shut down at Old 21. That's due to an injury crash. This report sponsored by Walgreens. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Finding the right Medicare plan was no easy feat until I found Walgreens Find Rx coverage. Compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, and find plans with low-cost copays. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a cold start, wind chills will be in the 20s all day and a high temperature in the mid-30s. In and out of the clouds a little bit. An occasional flurry is possible. It's going to be cold tonight. Lows in the mid-20s tomorrow morning and wind chills in the teens. The high on Thursday, 40 degrees. Even colder on Friday. And it looks like a chilly weekend, too, before things finally warm up a little bit first part of next week. I'm KMOV First Alert Meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by The Dental Link. Call Dr. Alan Link today, 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville, 314-794-6464.
Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks. May 9th, the Family Arena, Progressive Pioneers. Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks live. Research seat tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office at the Family Arena or through Ticketmaster. Don't miss Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks.
All right, you feel good tonight?
They're back, cocked and loaded. The Family Arena presents 38 Special with special guests Molly Hatchet and Black Oak, Arkansas. Saturday, November 19th, the Family Arena. Tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster.com. Presented by the Family Arena.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Listen to this noise coming out of the White House.
Live and local.
We need to get the message to people who are not being helped by Democrats.
Ron DeSantis showed people the back of his hand.
This is News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare ya!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin
All right, let's have a chat.
Oh, yeah.
Donald Trump makes it official. He is running for president in 2024, which we all knew was coming. The funny part is we always just kind of brace. Is he going to pull a fast one at the last minute and surprise everybody with something, because he's very unpredictable?
Yeah.
But last night was a very, I don't want to say standard presidential announcement, because it's not like presidential announcements are standard
Right.
fare
It's like, what
or
do they
anything.
mean?
But it was a fairly typical announcement in front of a room full of your supporters, and so that's what happened. It is coming up on 7:07. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Ken Williams here. The number here is 314-912-1019. And a couple of the things that surprised me about the address is that he was very tempered, he was very measured, and he actually kept the focus on the failures of the Biden administration and then on his goals for the U.S. economy. A lot of it, most of it, I would say, was about the U.S. Economy. There was some based on national security and things like that, but mostly he kept going back to the economy. Here's a clip of Donald Trump in his speech last night.
Under our leadership, we were a great and glorious nation, something you haven't heard for quite a long period of time. We were a strong nation, and importantly, we were a free nation. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. For millions of Americans, the past 2 years under Joe Biden have been a time of pain, hardship, anxiety, and despair.
Okay, what are your reactions or feelings to Donald Trump making it official? I'm looking at the Rumble chat box right now, but I'd love to hear from you. 314-912-1019. Let's just kind of go back and forth here.
Yep.
M. Ward says, too soon. And now it's going to be 2 straight years of campaign season now, and the last one isn't even over yet. That's one of the comments that I've seen. What are you seeing on Facebook?
Larry Cox, he's our reliable liberal listener. He called this teleprompter Trump, which is an interesting.
That's an interesting observation.
At least he can read the teleprompter.
Yeah.
There is that.
Yeah.
But he also asked, what facts were actually in this speech, and he was just lying the whole time.
Oh.
I replied to him very well.
Okay.
I said it was a fact fest.
Lunch Lady says the Rhinos won't nominate him. Now, I think that's interesting because I think Donald Trump is obviously the heavy favorite if you were going to handicap the race from like a Vegas perspective or something like that. And I don't think it's guaranteed the way that you would have thought a couple of years ago for the nomination. But to the point that she's making, there is more opposition or at least skepticism of Donald Trump than there used to be within the Republican Party. Even at times, people who really like him are saying, yeah, time to pass the torch. And I think a lot of what Donald Trump was doing last night was trying to overcome that.
And I've got YouTube comments. Ricky says, yes, I liked what he said about what he plans to do. He was staying on track. That
he did.
See, I agree with that totally. And then Beetle Baby said Trump wrote the playbook originally about how to attack, I guess, is what the one conversation was about. Don Martin said, however you feel about Trump, he is a better policy maker than the statesman. And I think what he meant about that, you've got what we talked about yesterday, the way they fight.
Mm-hmm.
The Republicans get so gentlemanly.
Oh, yes.
And yes.
Mark here, Queensberry rules, yes. I shall not strike you until you strike me forthwith.
And so we compared it to a boxer going after an MMA fighter,
right?
Where the boxer just has a dukes up.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Gabe, does he say
yes.
Okay.
And I shall not strike thee with any other appendage save my fists.
And the MMA is like throwing all the appendages and everything else at him.
Yeah. Kicks, elbows.
And that's the Democrats.
Throw you down to the ground, beat you in the face. Yes, and that's how MMA works. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, the Republicans have been basically fighting this political fight with one hand tied behind their back because they say, "Oh, we want to stay with the Marquis of Queensberry rules." It's like, no, that's not how politics works now. You need a better ground game. You need the mail-in voting. You need ballot harvesting. You need people in the face of everybody in all the neighborhoods. And we're like, well, no, we're just going to have a policy paper, and we're going to publish our policy paper, and we're going to have a compendium with our various think tanks. It's like, no, that's not how you get votes out.
I was working for a candidate once, years and years and years ago, working with a candidate, I should say, and we're at something, and he's giving us his, stump speech, and some guy walks up, he goes, "You with that campaign?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, what's he feel about this?" And I gave the standard, stump speak answer. He goes, "Well, you know what I really think would be valuable is if he would take some time and just write like a 100-page white paper and then really let us know what you think." And this guy, and I went, No. He's like, "No." He goes, "That'll really tell." I'm like, "Yeah, I'd rather have him out meeting voters and shaking hands than doing a freaking white paper for you." But when it comes to Trump here, I think a lot of people were caught off guard. So there's a couple of questions. Mm-hmm. One, and I'd love to know what you think, 314-912-1019. That is, okay, are you glad that he's in? Are you not glad? I mean, is it settled for you? You are with Trump, or are you waiting to see what your options are? The second thing is, what's your reaction to that speech itself, that announcement itself? Because, dare I say, it was kind of un-Trump-like in a way.
Well, what I'm hoping is it bemes Trump-like.
Yeah. Like this is the new Trump, right? Basically.
Right.
It's like new Trump, better than old Trump. Now with 30% less, acid, I guess. I don't know. But part of the thing that Trump did, though, that kind of broke the typical Republican mold was he punched back against the media and his political and ideological opponents in such a way as to create what I would probably call like social moments. Like he would create a moment where basically all of society now has to discuss, what just happened. Oh my gosh, he actually said something. We called him racist, and he said something about it. As opposed to what the typical Republican response has been was basically to ignore it and move on and talk policy and bring out the spreadsheets. So it was a different mode for a Republican, and it turned a lot of people off, and sometimes rightfully so.
What about the idea that starting this soon out of the gate could lead to some fatigue, voter fatigue?
Absolutely. There's that danger, I think, and I think that danger is high, especially these days. People are tired of the constant bickering, the constant campaigning that has been going on. It's like I thought election season was over. I voted, leave me alone. Yeah. But now it's like, okay, let's talk about the next one. It's like, oh jeez, can you just give me some turkey?
We have listener David from Creve Coeur.
David, you are on Newstalk STL. Appreciate you being on the show. What's your reaction? What's your take to Donald Trump announcing?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. I mean, I'm glad that he announced, and I think that people saying that he's too early it's crazy. I mean, this mail-in voting, who knows how long it's going to take. So when exactly, would he finally come out and say it? And I think it just goes to show how ridiculous this mail-in voting has gotten. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that.
Hey, no argument here. We need to get rid of mail-in voting altogether, except for military stationed away from home. I'm actually 100% in agreement with that. I do worry about the fatigue aspect of it, though. With some voters, I do have some concerns about that.
I think a lot of that, though, too. Hopefully, the ones who do feel fatigued will just tune out. I mean, you get that hope. Hopefully, you'll be able to do it. David, did you watch it? His announcement?
I didn't get to watch it. I listened. I worked nights, so unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch it. But,
oh yeah.
I just think that at one point you try and they cancel Trump because, they say by association, we lost the Senate, but he wasn't on the ballot either. So it's kind of, it goes against each other. And so I don't know what you do in that case as far as how much he affects.
Well, as far as the people that he supported and endorsed, it was a 232 to 22 number. So 232 won in this, and then 22 lost. So that's not that bad of a number, a ratio.
Yeah, we got to stay optimistic somehow. I think we just got to come together in some shape or form and not be divided. I hope that's the case.
Okay, so last question for you, and then we got to get to an information segment is, have you decided who you're behind in 2024, or are you saying, well, let me see who else is going to get in, or are you saying this is my guy?
I'd say Trump is my guy. I'm kind of in the mindset that you can't have Trumpism without Trump. I like DeSantis and nothing against DeSantis, but, I think if that's the case where he does want to run in after Trump, that's fine. But I think if I had to choose, Trump would be my guy.
Okay. Hey, appreciate you being on Newstalk STL.
Thanks, David.
Yes, thanks, you guys.
314-912-1019. By the way, at 7:35, our good friend Susie Moore, Deputy Managing Editor of RedState.com, going to be with us to give us her take on Trump's announcement as well. But we've got time to get yours as well throughout the morning. Interesting stuff here. I'll tell you where I'm sitting on everything, and you're probably not going to be surprised. That'll come your way in about 4 minutes on 101.9 and 94.1 Newstalk STL.
I've had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that now? Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Right now, crews have Route W north of Burnsville Road shut down in both directions. It's a pretty bad crash. We've got 2 extrications, one of which is complete. 55 northbound, pretty slow, Loughborough up through Virginia. 270 north, some pockets. Add 3 minutes to your commute time. 44 up through Manchester. This report sponsored by Dell Technologies. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Dell Technologies Black Friday event starts now with up to 50% off select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors, plus savings on accessories and free shipping. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey, Columbo here, and many of you know that one of my favorite things to do when I have some free time is to get out on the water and go fishing. And the folks at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton are the people you should see before your next fishing trip. No matter what you're fishing for, they have everything you need, from gear to lures to live bait. Plus, they can even set you up on a guided fishing tour on the Mississippi River. Make sure the tackle box is ready for your next trip by visiting Bluff City Outdoors at 2813 East Broadway in Alton and BluffCityOutdoors.com.
The Range St. Louis West is all about safety. That's why training is a critical part of what we do. No one wants to be in a situation where seconds count, but help is minutes away. But if that day comes, are you ready? No matter what your firearm experience level is, we have courses and instructors that can help. The Range St. Louis West is the area's premier training facility, shooting range, and all things firearms retail facility. Check us out online at therangestl.com or stop by and visit with our professional staff. The Range St. Louis West. Are you ready?
How is your car payment treating you? What if I told you you could make a free phone call right now and reduce your car payment by as much as $83 a month? Look at your car payment closely. You could be paying as high as 20% interest. Rate Genius can help you reduce your car payments by reducing your interest rate to as low as 2.48% APR. We can refinance most existing car loans or leased cars, new or used, and save you money every month. Put more money back in your pocket. The call is free to find out how low we can lower your car payment. 5 minutes of your time right now could save you hundreds of dollars a year. Call Rate Genius now.
800-764-2179. 800-764-2179. 800-764-2179. That's 800-764-2179.
Not all applicants qualify for a loan or rate savings. Actual offer terms, including APR, are determined at the time of your application based on creditworthiness, value of the vehicle, loan term, and other factors.
Fox News commentary.
Broadway's The Lion King is in legal hot water over allegedly firing a sign language interpreter for being white. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Starting to realize your small business is a little overwhelmed by the holiday rush? It's still not too late to get all of your shipping and mailing under control with Stamps.com. Sign up right now, and you'll be printing your own postage in just minutes with discounted USPS and UPS shipping rates. Just go to Stamps.com. Click the mic at the top of the page and use code BUSINESS for a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. That's Stamps.com, code BUSINESS.
It's 2022 and everyone is crying racism, but this case is a little different. Keith Wan, a sign language interpreter, is suing Broadway's production of The Lion King, alleging he was fired for being white. He claims he received an email from the Theater Development Fund Accessibility Programs informing him, quote, "It's no longer appropriate to have white interpreters represent black characters for ASL Broadway shows." After that email, the case seems pretty cut and dried to me. The production flat out said it wasn't interested in him because of his whiteness, the color of his skin. That's not only racist, it's illegal and unconstitutional. Woke culture has gone so far, it's returned us to a place where racism is not only happening, but accepted so long as it's against white people. In an effort to correct historical wrongs, modern culture has undone decades of progress towards true equality. This is just wrong, and I hope he wins the lawsuit. Enough is enough. I'm Tommy Lahren.
Conservative talk for St. Louis.
It's your patriotic right and duty. The government needs to step up and do its job.
This is News Talk STL.
It's well-balanced conversation.
News, analysis, opinion. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
I hit the wrong button.
Yeah. Let's adjust the audio on that drop there just a little bit.
That's harsh.
I'm awake now. Man.
I'm looking down while I'm hitting the button. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. No, we really are.
No, we are.
NewstalkSTL.
We are.
We're telling the truth on it. 314-912-1019. We're going to visit with our good friend Susie Moore from RedState.com here at 7:35 to get her take on the Donald Trump announcement. Real quick, I just kind of want to point out that, remember, Ron DeSantis, and this is the only clip I'm going to play from Ron DeSantis today because this is Trump's day. This is not Ron DeSantis' day. I have no idea if Ron DeSantis is thinking about running for president or not. And if he does, then he'll have his day. But he was at a press availability talking about something else. And, of course, they have to ask him about the comments that Donald Trump had made about him. And it's interesting because Ron DeSantis has not responded to Donald Trump.
Right. Not directly, certainly.
Well, and he didn't hear. Listen to how he turns us back around on the media.
Know what you think about Trump's big announcement and some of the less than flattering comments he has made about you.
Well, one of the things I've learned in this job is when you're leading, when you're getting things done, you take incoming fire. That's just the nature of it. I roll out of bed in the morning. I've got corporate media outlets that have a spasm, just the fact that I'm getting up in the morning, and it's constantly attacking. And this is just what's happened. I don't think any governor got attacked more, particularly by corporate media, than me over my 4-year term. And yet, I think what you learn is all that's just noise. And really what matters is, are you leading? Are you getting in front of issues? Are you delivering results for people? And are you standing up for folks? And if you do that, then none of that stuff matters. And that's what we've done. We focused on results and leadership. And, at the end of the day, I would just tell people to go check out the scoreboard from last Tuesday night. The fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, it was the greatest Republican victory in the history of the state of Florida.
Okay, that was all aimed at the media.
That was excellent.
None of that was aimed at Donald Trump.
That was absolutely the way to do it. And what I kept thinking was when I listened to Ron DeSantis and then when I listened to Trump, because actually Trump did refer to the Florida landslide. I mean, he was talking about it. He was saying the red wave was in Florida. And so that was kind of a compliment, And I also remember when Ron DeSantis was standing there, when he was just elected as governor, holding the Trump sign and saying, this is a great thing for me, and he meant it. He stuck to it. These guys, I think there's a plan there. I think the things that I think Trump did, the thing that he called him Ron sanctimonious. I think that was a bad move, but I think there was something else behind it.
Well, but he followed up with a very long screed going after DeSantis.
It was a full statement.
It was a wrong statement. And I think it was a wrong move.
Yeah.
And I think he realizes it was a wrong move. But I think there's something else going on.
Yeah, and again, I didn't want to do a whole lot, with Ron DeSantis, but I wanted to point that out. I just found it really interesting on this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. One of the things that I want to point out is, let's go back to our MMA analogy here, is what Ron DeSantis did was he slipped a move and he did a double leg takedown on the on the media right there. That's what he did. That's exactly what happened. He was like, "Oh, they're trying to trap me here with this. I'm going to completely blow by that and just put them on the ground and pummel them into submission." And this is exactly what he did. He didn't take the bait for friendly fire, and he went after our mutual enemy, and it was perfect. It was a perfect political move.
Okay, so now that Donald Trump is in, what is your standing on the primary election? Probably not that this will not surprise anybody, but I'm in the wait and see mode. I want to see what the other options are.
Definitely a wait and see. I'm leaning Trump, obviously, just because. Just the way, again, we're talking about polls, right? But the way the sentiment for the party is, it's leaning so heavily Trump. I'm not sure who could come in to challenge that, and I'm not. Going against the tide isn't necessarily the right move in all cases. So it's just like, well, if Trump's going to be our nominee, then I guess I'm behind him. Where my vote will end up in the primary, I think it depends on who gets in and how Trump does, how he conducts himself from here through. Because I think, I don't want to say I'm on the fence with some of the people, but a lot of people who got put on the fence with some of his recent comments, I'm kind of with them. I'm like, I'm in a wait and see, but you're leaning me in one direction or another with all this stuff.
Yeah, that's a good call, Gabe. I mean, I go by, previous results. He has now experience in that position with what he's dealing with. And I'm not just talking about just a presidency. I'm saying he is dealing with the presidency with all these different factors against him, the media, the left is not just the Democrat Party. There are many other facets of that. He's used to that. And I think based on his policies, I would go with Trump right now. But saying that, 2 years is a long way away. And we've got a lot of people that are saying, I'm going to throw my hat in there. Something could happen. I don't know what it is. Trump may go off the rails. If he goes off the rails and goes completely bonkers, then that's going to change everything. But if Trump 2.0 here, if this is where he's heading, as presidential as I heard him last night, I got chills at certain points because I want him to win.
I like Trump 2.0.
I like it a whole lot better than Trump version 1.
Yes.
I just hope he,
let's get those bug fixes to stick.
Now, again, I'm not going to just say, because somebody's putting a list here on Twitter and saying, here are all the people who already left Trump. Well, I'm not going to be that person. I'm not just going, he said that, I'm gone. That's not going to happen.
I think I saw that list. Somebody, listing like Candace Owens and Jesse Waters and all. I mean, I'm thinking, you mean somebody had a different opinion than you? I mean, since when is loyalty to any one person a person? This is the standard by something. I mean, and because that was like, these are the people who turn their back on. Well, this is a whole different election cycle.
Yeah. This is the aspect of I don't, for lack of a better term, Trumpism that I really don't like is the people who follow him who are like, okay, if you disagree with him at any point, you are disloyal,
right,
and we have to disown you. It's like, it's just, guys, that's not how you build a political party. It's not how you build a movement. It's certainly not how you change the country towards the better by creating a monoculture voice, that with zero deviation. That's exactly how leftists behave.
Yeah.
Like that, let's not do this.
No, Trump needs to look with blinders on look at and describe every time he's out the things that he talked about last night. And when he does that, he becomes presidential, and that's what he needs to stick with.
314-912-1019. Our good friend Susie Moore from RedState.com is going to give us her take on this in about 4 minutes right after this information segment on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcasts, articles, and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis, for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. What happens next?
Historic landslide victory.
Things did not quite turn out the way we had hoped.
Happens right here.
Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent.
People have spoken.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. 3 weeks after closing Jana Elementary for possible contamination, a third report finds no harmful radiation. The Hazelwood School District Board heard results Tuesday from a third round of testing they ordered following two conflicting reports. One board member said he wasn't convinced that the health risk for children in the school building is greater than the risk in their own homes. A 67-year-old psychiatrist from Chesterfield appeared in federal court Tuesday and admitted defrauding Medicare, Medicaid, and other insurers of millions of dollars through phony claims he filed over the years. The doctor and his business partner would overcharge insurers and sometimes be paid up to $50,000 for a single urine test. The performance of Jay Leno and Jeff Foxworthy, scheduled for Friday at the Fox Theater, has been canceled after Leno suffered burns in a gasoline fire. The Fox Theater says all tickets will be automatically refunded at the point of purchase and will be processed later this week. Ticket holders will receive credit in the next 7 to 10 days. According to Furniture Today, Weekends Only will be closing its stores, citing the retirement of owner Tom Phillips, who is 70 years old. The date of the final closing is not yet known, but liquidation sales are expected to begin in January. The company has about 400 employees. And in sports, the Blues are in Chicago tonight to face the Blackhawks. Puck drop is at 6:30 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Relatively quiet this morning, but we do have some volume. 270 north, 44 up to Manchester. That's due to an earlier crash, about a 7-minute delay. Route W is shut down in both directions north of Burnsville Road. We've got a very serious crash there. 55 north, it's really just pockets in the construction zone. Loughborough through Virginia. 70 westbound at Zumbell, the left lane's already closed for road work. 70 east is fine. Bridges downtown look great. This report sponsored by Dell Technologies, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Dell's Black Friday event starts now with up to $400 off on select XPS and Alienware PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors, plus special pricing on accessories and free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a cold start, wind chills will be in the 20s all day and a high temperature in the mid-30s. In and out of the clouds a little bit. An occasional flurry is possible. It's going to be cold tonight. Lows in the mid-20s tomorrow morning and wind chills in the teens. The high on Thursday, 40 degrees. Even colder on Friday. And it looks like a chilly weekend, too, before things finally warm up a little bit first part of next week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
I am a election denier because I don't think that 2020 was a free and fair election. And I get crap for that. But Stacey Abrams, the question was worded just like that. Was 2018 a free and fair election? She said no. Right. Why does she get to say it, but we don't get to say it?
Because you're not a Democrat.
I don't want to be one of those.
No, I don't either, Vic.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
Listen anytime.
It happens
Anywhere.
anywhere.
Everywhere.
Every day continues to bring more news.
With the News Talk STL app. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, so did a wide open primary and caucus race for the Republican nomination for 2024 get started last night with Donald Trump first out of the gate, or did Donald Trump simply stake his claim and this is likely a run-up to a Trump versus Biden, Trump versus Hillary, Trump versus whoever situation? I think it's way too early to know for sure, but I will say that I was very surprised by the tone and how tempered and measured I found Donald Trump's speech to be. It was very unlike what we've been accustomed to with Donald Trump. So if you tuned in last night, I happened to watch it on Newsmax. And you were expecting a bombastic speech like he does at his rallies, you know, where he calls everybody names and all this kind of stuff. That didn't happen last night.
Yeah, he went full presidential, I guess, and we're kind of calling this Trump 2.0 because of that shift. I mean, his typical speeches, even from behind the presidential podium back in the day, were similar at the very least to his rally style speeches, which are very, like you said, bombastic. They had a certain element, they had a certain edge to it, which is fun. It's entertaining, to a certain degree.
Cringe-inducing sometimes.
Sometimes cringe-inducing.
Yeah, but it is fun though.
And sometimes his made up, derogatory nicknames have massive social power, social sticking power, and they end up being a thing, a phenomenon unto themselves. All that said, it usually made him seem lesser than previous presidents. It usually made him seem less like the serious person in the room that people wanted him to be. So this version of Trump, the Trump 2.0, I think is appealing to the streak that's kind of running through the GOP, even of Trump fans who are saying, can we get a little more serious? It's like, okay, that was fun, that was cool. I liked how you hit back. But let's be serious here. These people are destroying our country, and we need you to step up, kind of thing. So
And topically, I liked in his speech last night, I liked how he was trying to bring people together. He, by name, said conservatives, liberals, left, right. He said we're Americans. We want to come to. I want to bring us together. And that one part when he said that, I was like, what? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We're joined now by Susie Moore from RedState.com. Susie, I'm going to play a clip from Trump's speech. I grabbed one that I think kind of is a synopsis of the message he was trying to send, and then I want to get your response, not just to this clip, but your overall impression of the announcement last night. Here's Donald Trump from his speech.
Our victory will be built upon big ideas, bold ambitions, and daring dreams for America's future. We need daring dreams. It is not enough merely to complain or oppose. We don't want to be critics. We don't want to be complainers. I never wanted to be a critic. I never respected critics. They tell people what's wrong, but they can't do it themselves. We will win because we will fight with every measure of our strength and with every ounce of our energy to lift up the working men and working women of America and to restore the fabric of this nation. The radical left Democrats have embraced an extreme ideology of government domination and control. Our approach is the opposite, one based on freedom, values, individual responsibility, and just plain common sense. It's common sense.
All right, Susie Moore, what's your take?
My take is kind of in line with what you guys have been saying. Obviously, this is a little bit more of a refined, restrained Trump. It's the Trump that we saw there was like an ad that he put out, I want to say it was like a year ago, and I'm not even remember the context, but I think I wrote it up for Red State at the time, where it was kind of the same tenor. It was about, all the accomplishments of his administration and where we were and why we're not there now and how we can all come together to make it better. And it's definitely the type of speech you'd like to see from somebody who wants to be a leader like that. It throws people off, I think, a little bit because just, a few days ago he was coming out with his sort of jabs at DeSantis and as you mentioned, the screed that he put out on Truth Social. So it kind of keeps you off kilter because it's like, which Trump are you going to get? I would say the overall take from the people at Red State and the people that have written it up so far was that this was a good tone of a speech. It sort of struck the right balance. And in fact, one of our writers, Bob Hogue, who is a Trump fan, was saying, it was almost a little bit of a sleepy speech.
Good morning, Susie. I was actually going to ask about the reaction to it. Are you seeing a wider shift towards favorability for Trump among perhaps his older critics?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think that people that are, have been Trump critics all along, I don't see a whole big shift in that, either in our readership or just people, punditry, that sort of thing. What you do see that I didn't see even just a month or two ago is more people saying, yeah, Trump's great. I'll vote for him again if he ends up getting the nomination, but maybe we need to turn the page. That's been, to me, the biggest surprise because Red State's leadership is pretty pro-Trump. And to see as many comments as I have over the past week or two that are open to the idea of moving on has been surprising to me. And I don't know if it's fatigue, as you all mentioned, if it's not liking, him turning his sights on DeSantis, I'm not sure exactly what's driving it, but there is much more of that. That said, I think pretty solidly it's safe to say that most people that are red state readers, if Trump were to, continue and be successful in the primary and gain the nomination, they would be, all in on voting for him in the general.
Morning, Susie. This is Ken. Being a big Trump fan, I've always appreciated his policies. I like his candor. I love the way he attacks when being attacked. At the same time, we've got 2 years here, and I'm open. I'm completely open for a DeSantis or someone else if Trump destroys. It's Trump's to lose. Let's put it that way. How do you feel about it, personally?
I think you're right. Oh, how do I say? Okay, well, that's
different.
No, I think you're right. It's 2 years. Think about it. This is November of 2022. November of 2020, Trump was still president. We were dealing with COVID. He had lost the election by this time 2 years ago, but that was just 2 years ago. So think of all the things that have happened in the intervening 24 months. There's so many things that could happen between now and the time that we're actually looking at the primaries. That's at least a year and a half away. We don't know yet who's going to decide, okay, I'm going to stand back because Trump's in it, and who's going to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and try and take him on. We just have to kind of wait and see how that unfolds. Personally, I was hoping that he would hang back and play kingmaker, and not because I don't love the things that he did accomplish as president, not because I don't disagree with his policies, not because of that, but because he is such a lightning rod. And people are so, what's the word? It's like they're so instinctive and reactive to him as opposed to intellectual in their response to him, that it creates this kind of unending drama. And you feel like it's like when you're on that roller coaster and you're waiting for you to get to the end of it and you just need to kind of take a breath. I don't like that feeling. And I mean, maybe people say, oh, well, that's, you're weak or whatever. I don't like feeling like that constant tension, that constant anxiety. And that's what we have when Trump's in the mix of things. I appreciate all he's done. I would have loved to have seen him sort of stand back and play kingmaker. But that's not what he's choosing to do. And maybe with him doing this, maybe he takes a lot of those slings and arrows up front and that does clear the field for other people. Or maybe he withstands them and he emerges even stronger. I don't know. I'm waiting to see. I am not making a snap judgment at this point. In 2016, I cannot deal with him, will not vote for him. I'm much more reflective, if you will, now.
We're visiting with Susie Moore from redstate.com. Just a minute or so left here, Susie. I think one of the interesting things is that pundits can try to predict what Donald Trump's going to do, and I think that's an exercise in futility. It is, and you're saying this right now, I think it's fascinating. It might be easier to try to watch how voters respond to him as opposed to what we think Donald Trump's going to do. I mean, predicting what Donald Trump's going to do is just, don't waste your breath, don't waste your time. But looking at how people react to him, whether it's in the Republican Party or in the conservative movement or otherwise, is a whole different approach to where we go from here to there and whether or not there are any other possible candidates getting in the race, because outside of Donald Trump, there are heavy hitters on the Republican bench.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think that we're going to have to, and we're going to have plenty of time to assess how the voting populace and how the conservative base are reacting to him. I thought it was very telling that Charlie Kirk, who's obviously a very pro-Trump pundit, was out, I think it was yesterday, on his social media saying, look, I'm getting all these messages from people who are a little concerned about some of his messaging and the way he's going off. How he was acknowledging that people were coming to him with concerns about the way Trump was approaching things. That was before his speech last night. I suspect that for most people that either support Trump or at least are, Trump accepting, they were fine with the speech last night. It certainly didn't. The only people it triggered was the legacy media.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah. Well, he's going to trigger them anyway, no matter what.
Right. I mean, that was inevitable. But
yeah.
Did you see the whole roll of headlines across? It was like Trump who fomented insurrection, Trump who refused to concede. was like, oh, is that who it is? I didn't know who the guy was before you gave that description.
Even NPR went as far as that. I mean, their headline on Twitter was ridiculous. It was like, and fomented the overturn of the government. It kind of, it's like, wow, really, NPR?
But they're gonna. But
Right.
Susie, aren't they going to have that message the whole time now? That for the next 2 years, they're going to try and wear everybody down with those messages, and they're just not true.
They are. Of course they are, but it's like they're not even being coy with their framing anymore. It's like screaming, blaring, we hate him.
Yeah. And you should too.
That TDS flare up. Somebody ought to invent an ointment, I guess, or maybe a vaccine.
There you go, a vaccine.
Nobody will take it though, Gabe.
All right, Susie Moore, I'm sure multiple angles to this at redstate.com today and throughout the rest of the week. Really appreciate you being on, Susie.
Sure, guys. Have a great day.
314-912-1019. All right, what's your take? I think there's a lot of touch and go is what I'm sensing, because I think there's so many people who are surprised at what they heard and saw last night. And I think it's going to be one of those time will tell what is the direction of Donald Trump, what we saw last night, or what we've been used to for the past 6 years. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We've got what looks like a pretty bad crash. 70 westbound at Riverview. This vehicle is underneath a tractor trailer with a serious injury. 70 westbound at Riverview. 270 northbound slow Gravois to Manchester. Add 6 to 7 minutes to your commute time. 61 southbound jammed approaching Route P. We've got a crash blocking the left lane. Route W north of Burnsville Road is blocked. That's due to a pretty bad crash as well. This support sponsored by Walgreens, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Finding the right Medicare plan was no easy feat until I found Walgreens Find Rx coverage. Compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, and find plans with low-cost copays. When you need to talk Medicare, Walgreens is here. Start shopping today at walgreens.com/Medicare.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Wednesday at 9:05, we'll talk to Craig DeLuz from the National Center for Public Policy Research about Project 21's blueprint for a better deal for Black America, and we'll talk about election integrity.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey everybody, this is Paul Kurtman, host of the Paul Kurtman Show on News Talk STL, but I'm also the president of PR Kurtman Investments. The market is down and inflation is up. So if you have questions about the investments in your portfolio, please let me help. Just send me an email by visiting freedomportfolios.com. There's no cost. The market might be uncertain, but that doesn't mean you should be too. Contact me today, Paul Kurtman, by visiting freedomportfolios.com.
As a noun, hiatus is an interruption in time, a pause, or a break. As a tequila, hiatus is naturally clean yet complex, ideal for sipping neat, but it also shines in a cocktail. Some companies cut corners, but we prefer to take our time as our blue agave plants take up to 8 years to fully ripen. We got your taste at Hiatus Tequila. Go on a hiatus from the everyday. You deserve it.
Get 10% off your first order using coupon code HOLLY10 on shophiatustequila.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Do you live in St. Charles County? Then you can get Mid-Rivers News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. Mid-Rivers News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit midriversnewsmagazine.com/subscribe to get a copy delivered to your mailbox. Or pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnook stores. Mid-Rivers News Magazine. Anybody who wants it, gets it. Anybody who gets it, wants it. Subscribe for free today.
News, analysis, opinion.
This is like a childish temper tantrum that Joe Biden's having.
1019 and 94.1.
In the past year, there have been more than 2.2 million people crossing the border illegally.
News Talk STL. talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Tonight on the Hallmark Channel, it's Thanksgiving in a small town. She's the beautiful but foul-mouthed author of the beloved holiday classic, Thanksgiving You the Bird. He's a handsome small-town preacher who's so uptight he gets dressed in the dark to avoid seeing himself naked, starring that actress you've seen on various TV shows, but you'd never know her real name. And also starring a real handsome actor you may recognize as bedpan washer number 3 on General Hospital.
I can take that, nurse.
Thanksgiving in a Small Town, tonight on the Hallmark Channel.
Just wanted to get in that last TV game.
My wife will be watching it.
Right along with my mom and probably my wife as well. I do not understand these otherwise brilliant women.
Grab your cup of coffee. Oh, by the way, I have a video that I've been working on about explaining Hallmark movies and the Hallmark movie phenomenon. Hopefully, I will actually get that done over the holiday weekend, and I will put it on my website.
Is that going to scar me?
No.
Okay.
No. It'll help you understand why the women in your life love it so much, and why I've seen maybe 170 of them.
When I walk through the room and she's watching a Hallmark movie, I say, "Are you in the beginning, middle, or end?" And did she already deny him, and now she's going to accept him again? Is that where we're at right now? Because they're all exactly the same.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, it's almost like the old studio days before Hollywood when they were still in Chicago. And it's like, we never make more than 2 movies every week. You know, it's quality. And they have the exact same script for everything.
Yes.
On it. And
it's like cowboy movies of old, right?
Yeah.
Like they were all basically the same movie.
But my wife's crying at the end of every one of these things. I'm like, okay, that's what it is. It's therapy.
Oh, man. All right. Anyway, it's 7:54. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Ken Williams here. Yes, we are resuming our conversation about Donald Trump's announcement last night. We're going to do that at 8:05. Love to get your thoughts on that. By the way, we are, of course, streaming on Rumble and YouTube, but you got to look up Mike Ferguson in the morning because they threw News Talk STL off YouTube. But you look up Mike Ferguson in the morning and you can find us. You can comment on it right now, just like the other shows. And then, of course, Facebook as well. Gabe's keeping track of Facebook comments.
Yep.
I've got Rumble chat box up in front of me. Real quick, we now know who is going to lead the offense for the Battlehawks.
Yeah, we do.
Next season. This is something here. Former Virginia Tech quarterback Ryan Willis. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But the starter, it looks like, is going to be 2-time national champion, as in Alabama. Remember A.J. McCarron?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he led Alabama to 2 BCS titles, and he's bounced around the NFL the last 7 seasons or so he's got a lot of NFL experience. Head coach Anthony Becht was in Las Vegas on day 1 of the XFL's draft festivities. The majority of it's happening today. Here's how he assessed the quarterbacks.
And this is the first step in you really creating the identity of your team, right? And I know you want an explosive offense. How did AJ and Ryan match that build for you?
Yeah, I mean, both of these guys bring a lot of unique qualities. Leadership, number one. Ryan's a big guy, big arm, super athletic, can make all the throws. And then AJ brings a lot of NFL experience to us. He's a guy that, quite frankly, can win at the line of scrimmage. And I think for us, going against some of these defensive-minded head coaches that we have and some of those coordinators, I think that's a key part of our success this season.
So basically what I'm hearing is a lot of the other teams seem to be trying to set up a really, really, really hardcore defense, and he's saying we're gonna let it rip.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see something akin to the greatest show on turf.
I was just
Right, yeah,
man,
we're
you're
here.
right there.
We're here, man.
Right there, buddy.
No, because that was some of the most exciting football I've seen.
Wasn't he on that team? On one of those teams? Because he played for a minute in St. Louis at the time. I think he was actually on those teams.
Maybe.
Yeah, but he
might be trying to recapture that too.
They actually mentioned there the host there. You heard her voice, Stormy something or other, and she pointed out. She goes, St. Louis is all in because the rest of the XFL's noticed how crazy St. Louis has gone about the Battlehawks.
Best fan base in the XFL, no question about it. I've been up there several times, and the engagement, both socially and in person, as soon as I get off the plane, people are they're ready for football. So it's back, one of the best sports cities in the country, and they can't wait for football.
Everybody's going to say something like that, but it's actually real in St. Louis.
Local sportswear companies are running out of Battlehawks gear.
I couldn't order the one I wanted because it was out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea right there.
I can't get what I want.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm going to get
All right,
Oh, boy.
314-912-1019. Donald Trump announces, are you in? Are you out? Are you excited? Are you waiting to see what happens?
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on NewstalkSTL 1019. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
Are you the type of person who loves their community and wants it to be the best it can be? Now it's easier than ever to do your part. Go to recyclemo.com to see just how easy it is to recycle the right way. Or if you already recycle and want to be as efficient as possible, recyclemo.com can tell you what should and should not be recycled in your area. Become part of the clean recycling movement today. It's the right thing to do. Sponsored by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The 2024 presidential campaign formally underway. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports from Palm Beach, Florida.
2 years after losing re-election, Donald Trump is launching another run for the White House.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
Surrounded by hundreds of supporters at his Mar-a-Lago estate, he accused President Biden of driving the country into a ditch. Trump promised to lower inflation, criticized what he called gender insanity, and said if elected, he would demand same-day voting and only paper ballots. Greg Clugston, Palm Beach, Florida.
In the Senate, Florida Republican Rick Scott planning a long-shot bid to unseat Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell. Scott telling fellow Senate Republicans in a letter that if you simply want to stick with the status quo, don't vote for me. Ukrainian President Zelensky tells the G20 summit of the ongoing damage being done to his country by the Russian invaders, even though the Ukrainian military has enjoyed some notable successes in repelling Putin's troops.
Zelensky says hundreds of cities were left without electricity, water and heat, and that internet traffic has fallen by 2/3. Then he labelled Moscow a terrorist. He's called for a quick response after Poland said a Russian-made missile fell in the country's east, killing 2 people, though President Biden has said it was unlikely it was fired from Russia.
Correspondent Charles Daladesma says it now appears Ukrainian forces may have fired the Soviet-era missile, which went off course and landed in Poland, where 2 people were killed. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, Dow futures are down 28 points, NASDAQ futures off 21, S&P futures 6 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Thank the pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold, the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
70 westbound coming out of the city, we've got a pretty major crash. It's at Riverview, blocking the 3 right lanes. This vehicle's underneath a tractor trailer. There's a serious injury, so you want to avoid that area. It's currently jammed back to about West Florissant. 17 minutes, your delay time. Accident blocking the left lane, 61 southbound past Route P has traffic jammed to Route W. That is a 30-minute delay. 270 north, pockets 55 up to Manchester, add 10 minutes on, and an accident in the left lane. It looks minor, but it is blocking 64 eastbound between Boone's Crossing and Chesterfield Parkway. I'm Joe Sonderman. This report's sponsored by Blindster.com from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and my company is Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 to provide custom blinds, shades, and shutters at affordable prices. Our blinds are easy to install and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive professional. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a cold start, wind chills will be in the 20s all day and a high temperature in the mid-30s. In and out of the clouds a little bit. An occasional flurry is possible. It's going to be cold tonight. Lows in the mid-20s tomorrow morning and wind chills in the teens. The high on Thursday, 40 degrees. Even colder on Friday. And it looks like a chilly weekend, too, before things finally warm up a little bit first part of next week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
I'm so tired of my water smelling like rotten eggs. Iron foul. It makes my clothes and home smell. And my sink and faucet look dirty. I'm calling Jones Air and Water Treatment for their solution to this pollution.
Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to your pollution. Call now for your free water analysis at 636-899-1040 and live with clean, great-tasting water. That's 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
The Rob Carter Show.
And he said, be careful that if you say anything negative about Donald Trump, it could hurt the performance of your show. And I say, let the chips fall where they may. I am going to be truthful, regardless, when I get on the airwaves in St. Louis. I was the biggest Trump supporter, stood tall, and stood behind the guy until the pandemic. That's when I went, wait 1 minute.
The Rob Carter Show, Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. The news and talk that affects St. Louis.
40-year high inflation.
Roe v. Wade.
Border security.
Rising crime.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
What's happening?
That is happening.
The issues that impact.
Every day.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I love Jesus. He was my superhero.
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Twitter is like being able to read every toilet wall in the world.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin Rob.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
And there it is. Donald Trump is the first one in. I don't think he's going to be the only one in, but will he be the only major candidate to get in? That remains to be seen. And guys, we may not know that for another 6 months at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So what was your take, one, on the fact that Donald Trump made his announcement and he says he is running for president again for 2024? Or if you watched it, what is your reaction to what you saw, what you heard? Because it was a very different Donald Trump than we were used to, in that it was very much kind of under control, very, very tempered, very focused on a policy message as opposed to just attacking a lot of other people. So it was a little bit refreshing in my mind to see that, because I sat down, I was kind of bracing myself for it. And then after about 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, we're off to a good start. All right. After about 20 minutes, I'm going, okay, something's different. 30 minutes. What is happening?
Yeah. What's going on?
And about 45 minutes in, of course, I've got to go to bed. I'm like, I'll catch the rest later on this. And I watched the rest of it this morning. But he did not deliver the same way that he's done the last 6 years when it comes to these speeches. So if you were expecting to see a speech from one of his rallies where he just rails on everybody and calls names and threatens, that didn't happen at all last night. I mean, it didn't happen at all.
Well, what's interesting is you still got the same sort of TDS-laden reactions from the left and the media and everybody. They all kind of they went back to their old playbook and they started coming out with the same sort of attacks, and it felt even dumber than usual because of how measured his tone was. It's basically they pre-planned their response to based on rally speeches.
Yeah.
And then they didn't get the rally speeches, but they still threw out the gigantic. So they seemed even more bombastic than Trump, honestly, in their response.
That's a good point.
Which is a very interesting thing.
Yeah. I really do, because the media is set up the way they were for any time with Donald Trump. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the way it's going to be, because that's just what the media is about. But Trump covered the border. Trump covered working together across the aisle. He talked about everything that I wanted to hear but didn't expect to hear. And when I heard it, I was so pleasantly surprised. At the same time, I know I'm going to hear something in the future that I'm not going to like. And this is where, you've got these real, and I want to call them people that are just light-weighted into this whole situation. They're going to be hearing something. They're going to say, I'm done with that. Well, you just, okay, have a little bit of patience too. You can't just say, we're watching, one more word and we're gone. I mean, because he is who he is. But last night he did everything very presidential.
Trump 2.0.
There were, if Trump 2.0 sticks, I think you've got a much better conversation. If we go back to, the old school, then I don't think that that's going to bode as well for Republicans as what a lot of people hope on this.
Yeah.
There were a couple policy things I didn't agree with.
Okay, now pick one of those and just throw those out there.
One
I'm
of those
curious.
is he said that, if he's elected president, then he's going to demand one election day, paper ballots, no mail-in voting, all the kind of stuff. All policies I agree with, but as we've been saying with the Democrats trying to federalize elections, that is unconstitutional, and we need to get the federal government out of telling states how to run elections, even the ones that are doing it wrong.
So what if he designed maybe a conclave of governors to come together and work that out that way?
If he motivated the governors to do it, and of course it would have to be the state legislatures.
Through the legislatures.
Well, yeah.
So, but if he motivated them to do it, that's fine. But that's not what he said.
No, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a bully pulpit thing, then that's one thing, as opposed to a legislative thing from the federal government. That's
it wasn't. You should do this. It's if I'm elected, I'm going to do that. I'm like, well, no, that's not what the Constitution says. But okay. But I mean, I understand what he's saying. The other one is he said that we should be executing drug dealers. First of all, he made the claim. He said every drug dealer kills on average 500 people, which is just nonsense. That's not true. I'm sure there are drug dealers who kill 500 people, but
sure.
And then
your average drug dealer is like some kid who's just doling out some weed.
Exactly. And he said, I had a conversation with President Xi from China, and I said, you don't have a drug problem here. He said, no. If we catch drug dealers, we try them and execute them that day. And he presented that sort of we need to get tough on this. I'm thinking, the war on drugs has been an unmitigated disaster.
Yeah.
So let's not go there. And then he went back to the economy stuff, which does resonate, which was a much smarter way to do that. So a couple things I'm like, ew, cringe, no. But for the most part, he stuck to the issues that are winning issues.
And I think I've heard him on the drug deal issue, and he's called international drug dealers the drug dealers as well, and he said he would be willing to go after those guys in Colombia in places that are bringing the people who are bringing China fentanyl in over our border. He'd be willing to go after them too. So he may have jumped on top of that and meant it another way too.
Well, I guess that's a nuance, right? Question, right? Are we talking? He's like all drug dealers. If you're caught selling, 5-ounce bags of weeds or whatever. I don't even know how weed is measured. Or are we talking about major cartel leaders?
Right.
It's like if we catch those guys, I want to put the federal death penalty on the table. If that's what he's talking about, I might be okay with that.
So we'd have to ask him the question, or he'd have to be asked the question.
What exactly do you mean?
What did you mean by that?
Yeah, but okay. So listen to the conversation we're having right now. You see why this is not the right approach. He got back on track. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And he may have just gone off script on that. I don't know. But those are the two things I'm like, yeah, war on drugs has always been an absolute disaster economically, for criminal justice reform, for families, for law enforcement, you name it. Other than those that are selling the stuff for it, this has been absolutely one of the most horrific, stupid things we've done over generations is the war on drugs.
And again, we have to ask them the question. That's down the road. But that fentanyl is a scourge in this country.
Sure,
it's killing people every single day. So that could be what he meant. I don't know.
Yeah, I think what you're getting at is that his policy prescriptions otherwise were basically the winners. He was hitting all the big winners.
Yeah.
And then this one, because there's a contentious element, it was probably the wrong time to bring that in.
It was what we should do is if we catch and convict a drug dealer, we should put him on fast track to execution.
And
that's what I'm saying. That's not a winning necessary. That's what I'm saying.
Nor is it constitutional, nor is it good policy.
But I also think that I don't think that that's exactly what he meant, and we don't know.
Well, that's exactly what he said.
Well, okay, but and again, I'm saying that he's also referred to drug dealers as international.
Yeah, there had to be some Trumpiness in the speech.
Yeah,
right?
it's a little Trumpy.
There has to be a little bit of that in there, but for the most part, this is what he was hitting.
Under our leadership, we were a great and glorious nation, something you haven't heard for quite a long period of time. We were a strong nation, and importantly, we were a free nation. But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. For millions of Americans, the past 2 years under Joe Biden have been a time of pain, hardship, anxiety, and despair.
Big winning argument right there, because it basically, you look at 2019 and you compare it to 2022, and my goodness, what a difference.
And one thing on that particular part of the speech, he goes on to say that I'm afraid we're going to have to feel it a lot harder, a lot more before it gets any better, before people are going to change their minds about voting, because he was referring to the voting. How it turned out. He said, unfortunately, people aren't realizing just how bad it's going to get. And unfortunately, we're going to have to feel it more. And we've talked about that before.
Well, basically, yeah, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Right.
We have time for a 50-second clip.
Let's do it.
Okay, here, and because this is the converse of what he was just saying as far as how bad things have gotten under the Biden administration. This is how he followed that up, and it was a very good part of his speech.
Our victory will be built upon big ideas, bold ambitions, and daring dreams for America's future. We need daring dreams. It is not enough merely to complain or oppose. We don't want to be critics. We don't want to be complainers. I never wanted to be a critic. I never respected critics. They tell people what's wrong, but they can't do it themselves. We will win because we will fight with every measure of our strength and with every ounce of our energy to lift up the working men and working women of America and to restore the fabric of this nation. The radical left Democrats have embraced an extreme ideology of government domination and control. Our approach is the opposite, one based on freedom, values, individual responsibility, and just plain common sense. It's common sense.
That's what I think the public wants to hear more of.
All the right notes.
Yeah.
Right there. 314-912-1019. Going to bring you up to date on what's happening around St. Louis, around the country. Just ahead, got plenty of time Get your reaction. Want to hear it or want to read it? 1019-941 News Talk STL.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop right now.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Couple of issues. First up, a pretty serious crash again this morning. 70 westbound at Riverview. They are blocking the 3 right lanes. This is a car under a tractor trailer. Traffic is jammed back to Cary. That is a 25-minute delay. We're still seeing major delays on 61 southbound. There was a crash past Route P. Traffic jammed back to Route W. 270 north still slow at about 8 minutes to your commute. Gravois up to Manchester. 64 eastbound. Here's a crash between Boone's Crossing and Chesterfield Parkway West. They're wrapping it up, but still had the left lane blocked when I saw it a few minutes ago. Add a couple of minutes to your commute time there. This report sponsored by Blindster.com, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. I sell custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters that are easy to install at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are custom-made for your windows, and I guarantee they'll fit. Don't hire a pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
Budweiser's Guns N' Hoses returns to the Enterprise Center on Wednesday, November 23rd. This great St. Louis event is celebrating its 35th anniversary. Doors open at 4:30 p.m. General admission tickets are just $20. Guns N' Hoses features 12 professional boxing and MMA matches. All proceeds benefit Backstoppers. That's the Budweiser Guns N' Hoses, Wednesday, November 23rd at the Enterprise Center. For more information, visit stlgunsandhoses.com. That's stlgunsandhoses.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Senator Jim Talent. We live in an age where saying common sense things is considered to be controversial or even revolutionary. Like, we need oil and gas. Yeah, I think we do. Or maybe we shouldn't shut down the schools. Maybe it's not a really great idea when troubled teenagers come in and just to rush to pump them full of drugs.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
If you're concerned about the current market and the 40-year record high inflation that we're seeing, you're not alone.
Credit card usage skyrocketing and at record highs, savings rates plunging. It's 100% certainty that you're in recession now.
The good news is, for decades, Steve All and his team have been helping people just like you protect and grow your income. And most importantly, not run out of money.
My clients that are currently sitting there on guaranteed incomes, they're not really worried about what's happening in the market. So they're more at peace because every month that paycheck comes in.
Call Steve today for your customized market protection plan. 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or visit yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory services offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities. Licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
Fox News commentary.
Broadway's The Lion King is in legal hot water over allegedly firing a sign language interpreter for being white. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Starting to realize your small business is a little overwhelmed by the holiday rush? It's still not too late to get all of your shipping and mailing under control with Stamps.com. Sign up right now, and you'll be printing your own postage in just minutes with discounted USPS and UPS shipping rates. Just go to Stamps.com, click the mic at the top of the page, and use code BUSINESS for a 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. That's Stamps.com, code BUSINESS.
It's 2022 and everyone is crying racism, but this case is a little different. Keith Wan, a sign language interpreter, is suing Broadway's production of The Lion King, alleging he was fired for being white. He claims he received an email from the Theater Development Fund Accessibility Programs informing him, quote, "It's no longer appropriate to have white interpreters represent black characters for ASL Broadway shows." After that email, the case seems pretty cut and dried to me. The production flat out said it wasn't interested in him because of his whiteness, the color of his skin. That's not only racist, it's illegal and unconstitutional. Woke culture has gone so far, it's returned us to a place where racism is not only happening, but accepted so long as it's against white people. In an effort to correct historical wrongs, modern culture has undone decades of progress towards true equality. This is just wrong, and I hope he wins the lawsuit. Enough is enough. I'm Tommy Lahren.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show. Columbo and Katie. Jones and Arps.
Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble.
Subscribe and watch.
News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Well, you've heard it by now, but former President Trump wants to become future President Trump. Fox News' Rich Edson reports on the official announcement. If you watched that last night, or if you didn't, but if you watched it in particular, love to hear from you and get your take and your reaction to it at 314-912-1019. But right now, here's Fox News' Rich Edson.
Former President Donald Trump even filed the paperwork with the Federal Election Commission, so this thing is about as official as it can get. Trump aides billed this as about a 25, 30-minute speech. In Trump form, it lasted longer than an hour. Hundreds of supporters here at his club here in South Florida. Now, Trump's case for a second term, he says he should have had 2 terms in a row and would have addressed inflation, energy, and border security.
Everybody will agree with us because everybody sees what a bad job has been done during this 2-year period.
Democrats have a different perspective. The Democratic National Committee writes, quote, "Today is just the kickoff to what will be a messy Republican primary with candidates competing to be the most extreme MAGA Republican in the race."
Maybe, maybe not. Speaking of the issues in the border security, Marianne Rafferty from Fox News has an update on some hearings that were happening in Washington, D.C. regarding our southern border.
Despite record numbers of illegal crossings, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas doubling down on his assertion that the border's secure.
And we are working day in and day out to enhance its security.
But FBI Director Christopher Wray appearing to contradict Mayorkas during the Senate Homeland Security Committee hearing, describing the influx of dangerous drugs.
In Phoenix, we had a takedown working with CBP, who are phenomenal partners, I should add, where we seized in one vehicle interdiction enough fentanyl to kill the equivalent of the entire state of Pennsylvania.
Meanwhile, a federal judge striking down Title 42 on Tuesday, which allowed the expulsion of migrants crossing illegally. That could lead to even greater numbers of migrants.
Okay, so let's go back with the president's response to Donald Trump's announcement as far as like it's going to be a big free-for-all of people trying to be the most extreme and most MAGA. I'm not foreseeing that.
Have you ever heard the term etztoit?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the Porcelli principle.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And that's exactly what's going on here. The left right now is radical. I mean, in our opinion, I guess, they're radical. And now what they're saying is, no, we're not radical. It's them. They're the extreme.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, what I was going to say is that the term extremist, when it's coming from the left, is meaningless. I mean, it basically means a mainline conservative. Right. So it's like, yes, well then, that's how primaries in the Republican Party are. You're trying to out-conservative one another. Yes, I agree.
Well, but keep in mind, MAGA isn't necessarily always conservative.
Well,
I still
there is a
argue
populist
there's a lot of
to it. Yeah.
There's a lot of populism involved in MAGA. So
True.
If you're going to have any friction, it often comes between. You got the different camps. You've got sort of that mainstream establishment Republican, the practical, pragmatic, they would call it. Just get something done, whether it's good or bad. You've got the MAGA, the Trump movement. You've got the conservative movement, which overlaps MAGA a lot, but it's not completely a filled-in Venn diagram.
Right. Now, you're exactly right. There is a lot of, I think the populism that has spurred a lot of growth in the Republican Party and the conservative movement at large, it has, in a lot of ways, worried me because it wasn't necessarily ideological. It was in many ways driven by personality and anti-leftism, which, I mean, that's a good place to start. But at some point you have to, okay, where do we fill in? And I think the Trump 2.0 speech, which says that we have to be for something, we have to have a vision for America, essentially, I think is the right way to go. It's the right direction. If you're going to turn MAGA into an actual ideological conservatism movement, conservatarian sort of movement, having that vision that we can all kind of start talking about, agreeing to, and coming together on, I think is the way to go.
Yeah, and he did cover a lot of that too. He talked about the left, but he also talked about things international, the border. He talked about, of course, he rolled back, like you said, Mike, earlier. He rolled back about the economy. He always referred back to the economy, and I think he stuck it, man. He stayed right on the rails and took care of it.
Yeah, the pattern was pretty obvious. I mean, for somebody who's in communications like I am, is that he would go after and point out how bad the Biden administration and the far left has been for the country, point out their failures, spotlight the failures. Then he would talk about, what he wants to see. If you elect me, then this is what you're going to get. And then he always circled back to the economy. And then he would touch on another topic, but he would always circle back to the economy. And I think if you give concrete answers to, if you elect me or elect this party or elect my allies, and then you're going to get this improvement, that's a winning message.
Yep.
If he stays on that absolute focused message and not get distracted.
Yeah, and I think the Republican Party is in need of leadership to create the vision, or to present it, and to actually make it palatable, not just palatable, but sellable, I guess, to the public at large. Yeah. And I think he can do it, whether or not he's willing to forego some of his other kind of quirky, personality aspects. I don't know.
Well, voters still need to decide if he's the right person to do it, because you could have put a period after the word leadership and just said the Republican Party is in need of leadership.
Yeah.
Period.
You're right.
Not just leadership to do this, or they just need leadership right now, because you look at the U.S. House, you look at the U.S. Senate, you look at a lot of the states around the country, the Republican Party is saying, how do we miss this massive opportunity? Well, you messed up. Yeah. That's how you missed it.
Yeah.
There are people pointing fingers at the Mick leaders, of course. And then whatever happened in Arizona, they put on the lap of those people as well. I mean, because it was not good. It was just not good the way it came out. There was money that was not allocated that should have been possibly allocated to that candidate, to that
Masters.
The race itself in Arizona.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, 314-912-1019. Still got time to get your thoughts in on this. By the way, a third round of testing for radioactive danger at Janet Elementary School in the Hazelwood School District has now been done. As you recall, there was one from a company in Boston that was working for some attorneys in a lawsuit. They found dangerous levels of elevated radioactivity in and around the school. The school district responded quickly. They're shutting down the school, busing kids to other areas, sending the kids home to learn online. Army Corps of Engineers comes out and does testing and says, yeah, we don't see it. It's not here. So the school district decided to hire an independent organization.
Out of St. Charles, I believe.
Out of St. Charles, SCI Engineering.
Good call.
And they agreed with U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So this is somewhere between much ado about nothing during a lawsuit to we've got a very dangerous situation and there's a lot of confusion. There is going to be a town hall meeting on Thursday, and if you want to know more about that, just contact the Hazelwood School District. All right, last thing here real quick. The entire Cardinals team gets an award.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, for?
The St. Louis has bestowed the Team Gold Glove Award for best overall defense in the National League for the 2022 season.
Wow.
And that's even though they had DeYoung on the field a lot. That's how good everybody else was.
They were so good. Right? They overcame that.
They overcame that.
That's impressive.
Yeah. Even to his credit, DeYoung's like, yeah, I didn't have a good year. Trey Turner, you out there?
Oh no, nothing's gonna change.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning, made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president.
We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. A Cole County judge ruled Monday that a state agency previously led by Josh Hawley broke public record sunshine laws on purpose to help his U.S. Senate campaign. The judge fined the Attorney General's office $12,000 and attorney fees, the maximum penalty for violating the sunshine law. AZZ Precoat Metals, a provider of coil coating solutions, is planning to build a facility in Washington, Missouri. The company is investing $110 million into a plant and aims to create around 80 new jobs. The 25-acre facility is planned in the area of Oldenburg Industrial Park and is expected to open by 2025. Sun Country Airlines plans to resume service to St. Louis this summer. The Sun Country Chief Revenue Officer said new service to Charlotte, Columbus, Kansas City, and St. Louis will coordinate with their Major League Soccer charter service. Winterfest at Keener Plaza kicks off this Saturday and will go through January 1st. Activities will include rentable outdoor igloos, ice skating, s'mores stations, character meet and greets, and New Year's Eve fireworks. And in sports, the St. Louis Battlehawks have selected former Alabama star and Heisman Trophy runner-up A.J. McCarron and also Virginia Tech alum Ryan Willis as their two quarterbacks. The XFL announced quarterback selections for each of the league's 8 teams on Tuesday as part of the 2022 draft. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Crews still on the scene of a serious crash involving a vehicle and they hit the back of a tractor trailer. 70 westbound at Riverview. 3 right lanes closed, only the left lane getting by. A 30-minute delay back past Cary. 270 north still pretty busy north of 44 up to Manchester. 61 southbound still seeing delays Route W to Route P. That's due to an earlier crash. And we've got a pretty bad one on Wild Horse Creek Road west of Long Road as well. This report sponsored by Blindster.com, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. I sell custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters that are easy to install at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are custom-made for your windows, and I guarantee they'll fit. Don't hire a pro. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
After a cold start, wind chills will be in the 20s all day and a high temperature in the mid-30s. In and out of the clouds a little bit. An occasional flurry is possible. It's going to be cold tonight, lows in the mid-20s tomorrow morning and wind chills in the teens. The high on Thursday, 40 degrees, even colder on Friday, and it looks like a chilly weekend, too, before things finally warm up a little bit first part of next week. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
We need change in our country right now.
Live and local.
They clubbed us over the head for 2 years.
Yep. You want corruption? This is how we get corruption.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
5, 4-stage engine start. 3, 2, 1. Boosters in ignition. And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
Oh, for God's sake, calm down, Gabe. My goodness.
Woo!
All right, here's what you're
listening for you guys.
That's what you're.
Yeah, it is good.
You were listening to NASA's new rocket blasting off with 3 test dummies on board. That happened early this morning. The Artemis, or was that yesterday? That bumped.
That was yesterday.
Yes. Okay. So it's meant to bring the U.S. closer to putting humans on the moon again, and that'll be for the first time since the end of the Apollo program 50 years ago. So if you want the background on this, Fox News' Phil Keating reports from the Kennedy Space Center. Once I can look at my thing here, there we go. Here's Phil Keating.
This flight is uncrewed, but the mission is historic. Blast off, circle the Earth, and then head back to the moon. This mission is all about data, testing the rocket, the Orion capsule, orbiting the moon, then returning to Earth, and all importantly, proving Orion's heat shield works perfectly. The whole mission will last 42 days, so a lot of time in space for what NASA plans to be a whole lot of assessing this decade in the making, $100 billion mission.
$100 billion mission, and the eventual goal is to put humans on the moon as early as 2025, which we did in the 1960s.
Yeah, yes. But man, I'll tell you, this time around though, with the pictures, I look so forward to them sending back the video of the moon as it is today with the technology that we have now. Oh, it's
gonna be awesome.
Why are we spending this much money to go to a place we've already been, Gabe?
It's impotent.
It's very important.
Well, here's the thing about space missions is that, and here's the thing about developing the technology to get there is that there are so many secondary benefits that we take off of those things. I mean, the moon mission itself, I mean, the original one, Apollo, gave us so many technological improvements to our lives that we enjoy every day. So it's like, well, why not do this again? Now, of course, the criticism is, well, why didn't we just keep going when we were going? But I think that the Cold War kind of had something to do with it.
The Cold War interrupted that without a doubt.
We decided that the exploration part isn't as important as the weapons development part. So a lot more money went into ICBMs and things like that. But I think the idea here, though, is to create a permanent human base on the moon, which is a different thing altogether. That's partially where all the money's going. Part of it is the improvements on the technology that we used back in the Apollo days. There's a lot of proving that goes into these things. We don't do things like the Russians where we just kind of throw you on top of the rocket and say, okay, let's go.
Maybe you'll come back. Maybe
you'll come back,
because not all of them came back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you look at the history of the Russian program, they have many deaths associated.
Very gruesome deaths.
A lot of wasted money and stuff like that because of the destruction that because they weren't careful. We spend a lot of money. That's to be careful, and that's kind of how we're going. And this is the first among, I think, 5 missions Artemis is going to go through. Artemis 3 is the one that's going to put actual boots on the moon. So I can't wait for that one.
It's pretty exciting, and it's for humankind to want to go to another place like Mars or beyond. Launching from the moon, from what I've read, it's so much easier because of gravity, obviously, but they want to do some manufacturing up there. They want to take things and create, like you were talking about, technology to be able to actually harvest minerals to actually manufacture on the moon. That's so exciting. It's so crazy.
Oh, yeah.
To where they can actually build from materials that they create there and then go to another place.
Yes.
That's
the idea.
Stunning.
That's the idea. It's
stunning.
It's going to be so cool. Like I'm really excited about what sort of breakthroughs are going to come out of this whole deal. We've got till, 2027, I think is how far it's planned out. That's Artemis 4. Artemis 4 is going to be manned mission to the station. We're actually going to put a station in orbit around the moon as well. That's kind of the launching pad for the further
not
missions.
On the moon, but like an International Space Station, but around the moon.
Yes, kind of a little mini. So the on the moon base is going in 2025. It's called the Lunar Gateway. It's the gateway to the Lunar Gateway Station is the 2027 mission.
Gateway to Mars?
It's the gateway to Mars. That's why they call it that. and Mike's over here just looking at us like, you geeks.
Oh, man,
I'm not sold.
You're not sold on it?
Really?
Yeah. Okay, so think about it this way. Have you used a microwave oven recently?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, that came from Apollo.
Okay.
So just think about just the impact of that one bit of technology that we got and how it has changed the way we all live our lives, how it's improved a lot of the ways that we live our lives. That's one thing that kind of came out of that. That's one among dozens, easily, probably 100 or so technological innovations that we use every day that came out of Apollo. I think Artemis is going to kind of hypercharge that because we're going to start looking at things that we can't get on this planet, things we can't do on this planet in those habitats. So, there may be materials that we cannot manufacture in our gravity that in the microgravity of the moon makes sense. It could change material science. We could actually be able to improve our energy capacity in batteries with materials that we build on the moon, and thus kickstarting the actual electric vehicle revolution that we're all hoping could come. So there's a whole lot to be done between here and there, and I think we're going to be very happy with the technology that comes out of this.
And even though the 3D printer was already created on Earth, they're going to take that and put it on steroids to where that you can actually 3D print machinery off of meteorites or meteors. You could get the materials from there, develop these machines through technology, and then use them for other things. In other words, they would be without human interaction. It would be creating products with the materials through 3D printing. A type of 3D printing.
Yeah, there's a type of 3D printing that's going to be involved that uses lunar material. That's really the focus on what they're going to be looking at.
You understand that this sounds like the introduction to a science fiction movie that ends very, very badly for people, right?
That's to benefit mankind.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends on what we're talking about here. If we're talking about
droids are turning on us.
If you're talking about AI doing all these things, it's like that could AI isn't really involved in what we're talking about here.
It's hardware.
It's just people doing stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's actually the biggest step here that we're talking about is adding people back into the mix of space exploration. Because for a while there, remember, we were just sending rovers everywhere. Here's a rover that lands on Mars, and we're going to have a robot, and we're going to drive it from the ground, and we're going to do this. One of the reasons why this is such an expensive and such a convoluted mission is because it's manned. All of these manned missions.
Well, this one isn't, but the next one will be.
This one is testing the
For
systems for the manned missions.
Yeah, because the next one, as I understand it, it's manned, but it's just going around the moon.
Yes,
and then the one after that is
the
going
landing.
back to the moon.
Exactly,
Okay.
and that's all the testing that has to be going because you have a person involved. So if we're just sending a rover, it's one mission. But it's 3 because we want to make sure when we put a person on the surface of the moon, they will survive and they will come back.
You think they go find the stuff that was left behind by Neil Armstrong?
Oh, they probably walk past it and go, look at that. like a museum piece.
Actually, I think the landing zone is in a different location because they want to see more different stuff.
Okay.
I think so. I haven't looked at it recently.
All right. Gabe's completely geeked out.
I'm still. He's like, it's
like rocket boosters.
Just that rumble, man. Come on.
Yeah, you can feel it in your stomach.
I just also want to point out that NASA is talking about going back to the moon, and Elon Musk is already making plans to go to Mars.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the next step.
All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. from the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're still going to hit major delays 70 westbound approaching Riverview. It is backed up almost to Adelaide due to a crash that's leaving only the left lane getting by. This was very serious. 270 north, we're doing better. Just a couple of extra minutes, 44 up to Doherty Ferry, and it is thinning out. 64 west, still pretty busy, but it's west of Hampton to Big Bend. Eastbound 64, just busy at 170 in towards Hanley. Wild Horse Creek Road west of Long Road, it was shut down. The roadway's back open, but there's still restrictions due to a crash. I'm Joe Sonderman. This report sponsored by Blindster.com from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and my company is Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 to provide custom blinds, shades, and shutters at affordable prices. Our blinds are easy to install and shipping is free. Don't hire an expensive professional. Do it yourself and save big at Blindster.com.
Columbo and Katie.
We got a packed can't miss show on Wednesday. We'll talk to the Insider's Insider, Rodney Boyd at 2:20, Virginia Cruda from the Daily Wire at 2:40, and open up Closest Cabinet at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tim Jones. You need an event space that people will talk about later and forever. View 17 in Brentwood is that place. Perfect for corporate, private, or even public events. View 17 is ultra modern and fully broadcast ready for live streaming your event. And get this, all tech rentals are included in the rental fee. View 17 on the 17th floor of the old U Club Tower, like no other event space in the area. What a view. Check it out right now at VUE17.com. VUE17.com. I might even see you there.
Hurry in to Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale. Get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin and save up to $700. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase. Or shop Tempur-Pedic and get a $300 instant gift. Mattresses and bases are in stock for fast delivery. With our Love Your Mattress guarantee, get the lowest price and 120 nights to sleep on it. Only at Mattress Firm. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
The best part about taking ZzzQuil Pure Z's Sleep Plus Next Day Energy at night is actually the next morning. I wake up alert with none of the grogginess from taking too much melatonin. Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy is a bilayer tablet with immediate release melatonin and extended release B vitamins to help me fall asleep naturally and wake refreshed. It's my secret weapon for a great night's sleep and a great morning.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom.
Can't beat that.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies. Sleep better, wake your best.
Buckle up, Buttercup. What's new, fresh, and definitely shaking up the airwaves?
Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge presents the Definitely Holly Show.
Hi, this is Holly, a conservative millennial, and I am proud to be the newest member of the News Talk STL family. Every Saturday, we tackle controversial and hot topics and what's going on in our local community.
The Definitely Holly Show.
This Saturday evening at 5
on News Talk STL. Brought to you by Hiatus Tequila. This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. News Talk STL at 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
All right, coming up on January, we've got one line of defense in Washington, D.C. against the Biden administration and the far left extremists, and that is the U.S. House of Representatives. Right now, it's not technically confirmed, but the Republicans are going to have a very, very, very slim majority in there. So tomorrow, Congressman Mike Bost is going to be on the program, and we're going to get his perspective. It's one thing to be a conservative, be a Republican, be in Congress, be on the right side of all the issues, but now there's a whole new level of pressure on Congressman Bost and Congressman Lutkemeyer and Congresswoman Wagner, and you can go on up and down the line to outsize your actual office at this point because you're up against an increasingly left-wing White House and you're still up against a divided but technically speaking majority Democratic, majority liberal Senate as well. Now, they can't do anything about the Senate, but they can try to put a check on the White House. I think they put a little check on the Senate too because they got the power of the purse.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure on the U.S. House to hold firm, not make too many deals, and if a stalemate results, a stalemate results.
Yeah, what I'm actually hoping to see, because we do have to temper our expectations of this Congress, because all they can do is put up legislation that's going to get shot down by the Senate.
They're not going to pass anything good.
I'm hoping for investigations. I'm hoping that at the very least, as they can do as much as they can to bring some of these people to heel, because my goodness, I feel like we're dealing with an entirely criminal regime that feels like they can do anything they want right now.
That would have been more effective in the Senate.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Rand Paul being turned loose on Anthony Fauci?
Oh, please.
That's what he wanted.
Get out the popcorn and probably champagne.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which don't mix together, but you know what I mean.
Now, to be fair, I'm not really hopeful that anybody's going to get frog marched out of a congressional office or anything like that. But I'm hopeful at the very least the American public can be a little bit more informed about how bad their government has been to them over the past couple of years.
We should be judging the success of the next U.S. House of Representatives term based on how many bad things they stop.
Yes.
I think that's the best expectation we can have, is what can they actually stop? Because with the Senate staying in control of the Democrats, at the very least 50-50 with Kamala Harris being the tiebreaker, very possibly 51-49, which is a very big difference in dynamic than 50-50. It's not just one vote. It really is a whole different thing, especially when you've got wild card factors like Joe Manchin.
Yeah.
Man. Hey, Vic.
Hi, guys.
How's it going?
I'm a little confused.
Yeah?
What's that?
This Artemis project?
Yeah.
I thought the mission was to go find Alice Cramden. That's not...
To the moon!
She's still up there.
To the moon!
Oh, there she is! Alice. She's right there!
But wait a minute.
There she is.
Where's Major Tom?
Right. Well, he's up. He never landed, unfortunately.
Okay.
But Alice, to the moon, Alice!
To the moon! Yeah, exactly.
All right.
$100 billion. We should be able to find somebody.
So you guys hip to this Miguel Almaguer story from NBC News?
Who now? What?
Miguel Almaguer, he's like a national correspondent for NBC. He ran the story on the Paul Pelosi situation.
Oh, the guy got fired.
He got suspended.
Suspended.
But
Okay.
yeah, for telling the truth.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I mean, and now a local San Francisco outlet, through sources in the San Francisco Police Department, corroborated his report. So NBC's in a little trouble, I think.
So for suspending a journalist for doing the journalism. Well, sure.
I'm just saying.
But you got to call balls and strikes, right? If the guy was right about a story, then he's right about the story.
Correct.
And they, of course, they never mention it. Not a peep on it on the Today Show today. But.
That perpetrator pleaded not guilty today.
Yeah, that's pretty much procedural.
Yeah, is it? Okay, so you're thinking then the deal comes and then the guilty plea comes in?
It buys time. So what happens is he's probably got some public defender somewhere, I would suspect. And so they say, no, you plead not guilty, or the judge enters it in on your behalf, and then they can set the trial date down the road.
Okay.
I mean, almost every criminal suspect pleads not guilty,
At
even
first.
if they were caught red-handed. That's just procedural.
I just hope he doesn't get suicided.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not suicidal.
That's right.
That's all he's gotta say
Just to
on it.
remind everybody, I'm not suicidal, okay?
Right.
Just in case.
Right.
Yeah, same. I'm not. Also, just FYI, guys. If anything happens, I love
good
myself.
to know.
I'm way too conceited to remove myself from this planet. You guys do not deserve me, but I'm going to stick around.
There
for
you
a
can
little
say
while.
you need to continue to bless us with your presence.
Exactly.
I'm just too much of a chicken. I couldn't pull the trigger.
I'm not doing it.
I'd be up there on the Empire Step and, no, I don't want to jump.
And that's also called being sane, Vic.
Yeah, you're sane. You're too sane for it.
What's coming up, Vic?
Well, we got a good show today. Craig DeLuce is going to join us from the NCPPR. They've got this kind of, I don't want to call it a Bible, but a guide for a better Black America. And we're going to start today with election integrity. Huh.
Oh, there you go.
How about that?
Cool.
Play me some Biden coming up at 9:41. Miley, right?
Yeah, Miley.
Did I say her name wrong? Miley Smith, Director of Labor Policy and the staff attorney in Illinois about Amendment 1. And that big
Illinois
mess.
Policy Institute.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She's all over that stuff because the Amendment 1, that passed.
Yeah. And but it hasn't been released. It's like the
It
House
hasn't
of
been certified
Representatives
yet or something like that.
So she'll fill us in on that. And Mark Carter from vacation, so he'll talk to us with a margarita in his hand or some kind of crap.
Did he bring enough for the entire class?
I don't think he did. I also believe he's chewing gum, so we'll see how that goes.
We'll see.
Oh man. Okay, Vic. I know we got just about a minute or so left. Did you watch the speech last night? The announcement speech.
I thought it was good.
I was surprised at how tempered it was.
And it's funny because now the thing is, Trump put us to sleep. I'm like, really? What do you guys want?
Is that what you're hearing?
What do you want?
Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah.
Well, no, that's what they're saying.
Oh,
It's
gosh.
like-
Oh, my gosh.
I think it was good. Ivanka's out.
Yeah.
And, she wants to be a mom. Who can blame her there, right?
And make money.
Yeah. So
I would take a baby and money over being.
She is
bad at
she said that
political
she's
events
not
any
going to be
day.
involved in politics anymore.
Oh yeah.
I don't. After the beating she took for 4 years, why would she go back for
The
more of that?
unnecessary beating too.
Right,
Yeah.
of course.
No,
I'm glad. I thought it was a good speech. I thought it was tempered. I thought he was on target, on message. So hold on.
You're liking Trump 2.0.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in, baby. Ken, you in?
Oh, are you?
All right.
You asking me?
All right, Vic Forcelli coming away about 9:04 right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Steph's Pizza, legendary St. Louis-style pizza and pasta. Just the name makes your mouth water. Also, for your next get-together, pick up a Steph's Party Platter. And if it's Monday, you get a large pizza for the price of a small. Steph's Pizza in St. Charles County and Chesterfield Valley. Steph's Pizza is always convenient for pickup or delivery. Check them out at stephspizza.com. Tonight's a good night for legendary Steph's Pizza.
Hey folks, here's great news for active aging seniors. The Kanega Watch, the only medical alert smartwatch with built-in fall detection. Yeah, the Kanega Watch is much different than the other guys. It's a stylish, discreet watch you can wear all the time. Get help through the watch in one of three ways. Your voice, pushing the watch's alert button, or have the fall detection connect you to a US-based 24/7 monitoring center who'll speak to you through your watch and can send help to your GPS location nationwide. And get this, it can do that even if you're not responsive. This is true 24/7 peace of mind for you and those that love you. Order your Kanega Watch with a full refund 30-day trial period. Call now, 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. That's 800-413-7152.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Donald Trump has made it official. He is running for president for a third time. White House correspondent Greg Clugston was on hand in Palm Beach for last night's announcement.
Standing before hundreds of allies and supporters here at his Florida estate, Trump formally declared himself a presidential candidate for 2024.
America's comeback starts right now.
The former president described the 2 years under President Biden as a time of despair for millions of Americans. Trump, who blamed widespread fraud for his 2020 election loss, vowed to make America great and glorious again. Greg Clugston, Palm Beach, Florida.
3, 2, 1. Boosters in ignition. And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together. Back to the moon and beyond.
America heading back to the moon for the first time in a long time. NASA's new lunar rocket blasted off early today, marking the launch of the space agency's Artemis lunar exploration program.
No humans were aboard, only 3 test dummies. The mission brings the U.S. a big step closer to putting astronauts back on the lunar surface for the first time since the end of the Apollo program 50 years ago. The rocket will propel the capsule into a wide orbit around the moon. Then the capsule will return to Earth with a splashdown in the Pacific in December. I'm Donna Warder.
Nice bump in retail sales last month, rising 1.3% compared to the month before. The increase led by car sales, higher gas prices still, excluding autos and gas. Retail spending rose 0.9%.